Justin, thank you. One thing we're also keeping an eye on is power outages. Throughout this whole thing, officials have been telling us expect to lose power. I mean, at some point, they were prepping for more than 1 million power outages throughout the state. At least Duke Energy was. More than 400,000 people that they're expecting to lose power in Orange County.
It's one of the most frustrating parts of every storm because nobody wants to be without their AC, without their TV when you're sitting at home during a storm. But good news is we have a way to track it for you. Now, we don't have a way to quickly bring it back on for you, even though crews are on standby. We have Darren Stoltzfus standing by in the studio to talk about this interactive power outage map that we have for you on WESH.com.
Yeah, as you guys just said it, we're expecting tens of thousands, if not millions of people to lose power over the next few days as Milton makes his way into the state. Now, on WESH.com, we're tracking the outages county by county. This hubs multiple providers' information like Florida Power and Light, Duke Energy, and Tampa Electric. Now you can see, you can zoom in and click on each little county there. Hillsborough County looks like they've got the most outages so far. But if you go to WESH.com or search power on our WESH 2 News mobile app, you can see as things develop what's going on throughout the state. You can also scroll down and you can find every single county in the state listed on the left, how many people are without power in the middle, and then how many people are provided power in that area on the right. So you can get a better idea of what's going on. This updates about every 15 minutes. It's something that gets information from across the state right to you if you need it. Again, it's on WESH.com or the WESH 2 News mobile app. Back to you.
And thank you. And of course, we here at WESH 2, we will keep updating you. Oh, we're going to get over to Tony. We have a tornado warning.
Michelle,
we
got a brand new tornado warning now. That's that stuff that was south of Barefoot Bay. It's now coming up towards the north. There's the Cocoa Beach area. There's Rock Ledge. You got Satellite Beach, Indian Harbor Beach. This whole energy is moving up towards the north. This tornado warning, by the way, is a little shorter one. It's in effect until about 5:45. And the problem with this, as has been the case with many the other rotating thunderstorms, is the amount of rain in and around this particular feature. You're not going to be able to see it. When we take a look at the velocity product, it's kind of an x-ray of what's going on inside that very heavy rain band. There's the cell. And watch when we loop this. Notice the motion and the location. There's a reason why this polygon is being drawn that way. When you look at this, you can see it moving off towards the west-northwest and potentially headed up towards Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral, and Rock Ledge. So that's one of the things that we are going to continue to watch and monitor. I'm going to ask Cam to stop the loop there. This one appears like it's moving a little bit slower, but I want you to take the fan because this one I think is going to come ashore and impact some of these more populated cities here in central and northern Brevard County. And you'll see right through there. She's going at a speed of about 30 to 35 miles an hour. Again, this one is just a little bit slower than the other ones. But look at all the cities and towns now that could potentially be in the path of this particular storm. Bonaventure, just to mention a few, over towards Indianola, Vieira, Rock Ledge as it continues now to move off towards the west-northwest. We'll watch Sharps, we'll watch Frontenac, and then a little bit later on down the road, could be as far north as South Titusville. And then from there, if it does make it into eastern Orange County, we'd have to watch maybe Christmas or Bithlo down towards the end of that particular loop. So that's a pretty good little feature right there. One thing that we haven't done, and I'll have Cam kind of clear that, is take a look at the winds with this particular cell that is now sitting just off the coast here and moving up towards the west-northwest. That's a pretty good push of wind with this particular feature as it's continuing to move up towards the north-northwest, and that's going to scrape the coast here of central and northern Brevard County. Remember now, we've got Port Canaveral over here, so we'll keep an eye on Rusty's camera over there at Port Canaveral as one of the pictures that will kind of pop in on the left side of your screen. And again, getting awfully close now towards that barrier island, that outer piece of land. Winds there being pinged now at about 40 to 50 miles an hour. And if we can zoom it in, Cam, just a little bit more, get a little bit closer, maybe get some streets and cities there. There's the feature right there. It almost looks like an eye, but it's not. It's a little piece of energy that's rotating now off towards the west-northwest, and that's what we're going to continue to watch there. There's, of course, South Patrick Air Force Base. There's Satellite Beach. This is kind of moving off towards the west-northwest. South Cocoa, we're watching this very carefully for you, and we need you guys to be safe. We need you to be on the first floor, down safe, not in the second story of a home. South Patrick Shores, again, that is in the vicinity of this particular feature there that is going to be moving off towards the west-northwest. Again, this is a US 1, and then we've got I-95 just to kind of give you a little bit of a reference point here. As this particular cell is moving off towards the northwest. One thing I can't tell, and maybe you have slack up there, is the movement on this particular storm. I always like to try to give that to our viewers just so we can kind of give them a sense of immediacy if it's moving quicker versus slower.
So it's definitely moving to the northwest, Tony, at 40 miles per hour, so fairly quickly here, which is why it's making it a little bit difficult to draw that squall line, because going out 40 miles per hour is a little bit even off this map. But I just want to show you some of the communities that will be impacted soon. So let me take this squall line off and then widen out the picture here and show you these are the areas that will be impacted very soon. So going down to street level. So the area that we're watching for is this rotation here, just offshore, but again, moving northwest. So that's why the box was drawn in this direction. So honing it down to street level and moving this quickly. This will be right over South Patrick Shores very, very soon, just north of Satellite Beach. And here are some of the streets that this will literally just about to cross. So the couplet or the rotation is just here on the bright red, so I'm probably blocking it a little bit here, but here's a look at some of the street names here. We are looking at the Pineda Causeway. This will be moving right over you folks. Highway A1A, this is literally going to cross over Highway A1A over South Patrick Shores. Tropical Trail US 1, the trajectory of this will have it moving eventually over US 1, and also some other areas is Palm Shores and Pineda. Again, so if you're familiar with this area, a lot of us head out to the beaches in this area, a very populated area during the summer. We are going to see this move right over the Pineda Causeway and also US 1 and eventually A1A as well. Tony.
Cam, can we do one more thing? Can we take a look at that shear product, please, for that particular cell there?
Yes.
Just to kind of, just kind of widen out that view there. That's the cumulative. If you don't mind just going to the snapshot, so to speak, not the entire. Yeah, that's the shot I'm looking for. So if we zoom it in now, just here to the yeah, there we go. Just a little bit more towards the southeast. There's South Patrick Shores right there. So there's actually two pieces of energy. And if we go ahead and loop this now, you're going to see that it's going to move off towards the west-northwest. That little shear product there is going to move off towards the west-northwest or the northwest there at the end. There it is right there. There's that turn. And that's why the Weather Service made that call to put a tornado warning now up for this part of our area, and it's just northeast of Palm Shores. You guys are going to be okay. But if you're in Lotus, if you're in South Cocoa Beach or Cocoa right now, you may not even see what's coming your way. We're showing you the winds, but the rainfall rates continue to be incredibly high. So whatever's in there, it's going to produce some significant wind. Cam is doing an excellent job there of showing that little piece of rotation, and it's moving at 40 miles an hour. So it's even kind of hard for her to create that fan because the view is so far out. But just to kind of give you a couple more towns. There's Pineda. There's your estimated time of arrival, right around 5:54. Cam is actually pulling it out so she can get to 40 miles an hour, and she's finding that she's going to have to probably pull it out even more than that because she's got pinging 30, and then she can zoom it back in. But the big spin, there's no doubt about that right there. And another piece of spin actually just south of that tornado warned area there. Now she's got it, and now she can zoom in while she's got that up. That's kind of one of the tricks we do here. So there's Pineda. There's Vieira, there's Rock Ledge, just to mention a couple of folks that are very close to this particular cell. And then a little bit later, you can see Port St. John, Christmas, Wedgefield, and Southmere, and Bithlow as it rotates back towards the west-northwest. So we're watching that, but I also think that we need to watch this little area right in here. Let's zoom into that area, get to street level there, just north of Eau Gallie. This is the Weather Service radar, that little hole right there. And when we zoom it in north of Eau Gallie, you're going to see right here, there is a little bit of a couplet trying to come together just to the northeast of Aurora. While that's going on, the main piece of energy that's going to rotate into the tornado warned area is that cell that's just offshore. And we likely had a water spout with that as it was offshore. It doesn't look as symmetrical as it did earlier, but it does look like there's certainly some spin in rotation with the velocity product right there showing us the winds towards and away from the radar. So that's, again, one of the things that we're going to have to watch this. So there's South Patrick Shores. Just to the west-northwest of there, east-northeast of there is that cell. It's going to come across US 1 and then back towards Pineda and over towards Lotus here as it moves off towards the west-northwest. Cam, if we use the reflectivity or the shear, actually that's even better. There's the shear product. It's going to kind of move right over into the Banana and the Indian Rivers there in the lagoon. As it does so, that's that land-water interaction. We've seen this many times, folks, can create a very unique dynamic for generating natural spin in the environment. That on top of, you've got a hurricane that's going to be making landfall here a little bit later on this evening. And south of there, you got one, you've got two other pieces of energy. There's Bonaventure, there's Vieira. This energy, again, pulling off down towards the west-northwest. So we're watching you, Rockledge. We're watching you, Vieira. We're watching you, Georgiana. You're not going to be able to see inside that wall of water, but just know that we are seeing some of the spin. And the guys in the back are doing a great job pointing us some of those cameras there from around Central Florida, not just in this area, but all across Central Florida. That's some of the images we're bringing there from 417 back towards the beach line and then even in the metro area. So there's the cell. This one continues to move off towards the west-northwest. You can see a lot of rain, and this is very heavy rain. I'd be curious to see what the hourly rainfall rates are with this next cell that's about to rotate in off of the Atlantic that has induced this tornado warning here for the Cocoa Beach area. Rainfall rates here more than likely close to, we had as much as 7.5 inches there earlier. This is not too far removed from that. Anywhere from about 5 to 6 just north of the South Patrick Air Force Base and over towards Cape Canaveral as well. The other thing we're watching is the combination of the severe weather, and now we have to deal with more and more rain on top of an already saturated ground. And as these winds pick up later on tonight, we're watching the wind and we're watching the potential for power outages as there's going to be that risk for the wind to increase, topple over some of these trees that are in already saturated soils while Milton is crossing the peninsula after the darkness begins, after sunset, that is. So there's the beach line. There's I-95. There's our cell just north there of the Melbourne radar. That is going to pull back towards the west-northwest. And Cam is doing a great job. There's another cell south of that one off towards the south and east, and yet a third one that's lining on up that will continue to try to rotate off towards the north and west. And this will finally begin to stay offshore once we get the push of Milton onshore. That will force all of these rotating thunderstorms that we've seen today to move more towards the northeast as opposed to the northwest as we're seeing out there right now. So we're just waiting on Milton. So we got one, we've got two, we've got three. That one's a nasty looking rotation right there. These are moving towards the north, it looks like, but overall as they increase in northern latitude, they do want to try to bend back towards the west-northwest, especially that northern lead cell there just north of South Patrick Air Force Base there. Then farther to the south, you've got another tornado warning just south of the Sebastian area and then over towards Vieira Beach there. So again, a lot to watch here along the coast. Cam, it's just amazing just seeing how this is unfolding this afternoon from south to north.
Yeah, we are still under this tornado warning, but I just want to show you there's another tornado warning that we have to keep tabs on too. This is in Indian River County. It's associated with a couple other couplets, Tony. So you can just see as you widen out the picture, look, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, we often say we look south to see what the trends are here for us, and unfortunately it's not trending very well because we have multiple other tornado warnings that are just down to our south that we've got to watch that will head up north in our direction. So yes, we have this one tornado warning right now in effect for Brevard County, but we're also keeping tabs on these one down to the south because these eventually are looking like they'll head north and then possibly northwest as the system starts to veer. So we have multiple tornado warnings in effect across Florida, but the one that we're honing in on is this one here in Brevard County. It's this one that's in effect right now till 5:45. We did see a pretty decent sign of rotation here as we take a look at our velocity values. It was just offshore off of South Patrick Shores, and we're trying to see if we can kind of see it still, but it's just offshore here. It's actually, my back is, I'm going to shift this shot so you can actually see it. That little couplet that you see there, that's the rotation. This is expected, even though that arrow is looking like it's moving north, it's really moving more towards the north-northwest. So I'm going to put a fan on this and see if it actually pulls up some towns here. And here's a look. So some of the areas that will be impacted soon, as I click on this skit, actually it looks like the original rotation may have fallen apart, Tony, and it looks like this is actually a secondary one that's actually moving to the north. Thankfully, that looks like it's moving due north. These other two behind it are also moving due north. So the original cell that actually triggered this tornado warning looks like it's fallen apart, but just because that rotation has fallen apart doesn't mean we can't see damaging winds. We are going to see very, very strong winds as well. Here's a look at some of the velocity. So here's a look at the rotation that was originally triggered the warning. It doesn't look as nearly impressive anymore, but I just want to emphasize, even though we may not see rotating winds, we could see some damaging winds still. So these bright greens that you see there are winds within the cell itself. So this is the tornado warned cell itself moving to the west-northwest. But as it moves inland, we're seeing winds of 60 miles per hour in the storm. So that could cause damage as well. That's still severe thunderstorm cell coverage territory. And some of the areas that this will be moving over include Vieira, Lotus, Bonaventura, Georgiana, Cocoa Beach, Footman, Angel City, Rockledge, all under this polygon here. As I clear out some of the wind amounts here that will be under the impacts of severe winds. So we are still seeing that rotation, but it looks a bit more broad now. It doesn't look as a tight couplet. Those winds, though, still about 60 miles per hour in this storm. It's going to impact areas like South Cocoa Beach, South Patrick Shores, Footman, Angel City, and Rockledge. Tony, back to you.
All right, so we have a camera now. I'm being told from that area over towards the Port Canaveral that will kind of pop on in there, and you can't even see the cruise terminals because the rain is coming down at a rate of 4, 5, even 6 inches per hour, as we've been showing you there along the coast. So again, we will transition from a severe weather threat to an ongoing heavier rainfall event, and that is the concern overnight tonight and through at least the first half of the day tomorrow. That is just an incredible shot. That is right here within that big rain shield now that is ongoing here in and around the Port Canaveral. Cam, I believe there may be a brand new tornado warning just south of southern Brevard County. Right there. So they did reissue that. That was the one cell that Cam was just talking about. They did issue that for Martin County there. So they're going to watch that. But it almost looks to me, if we loop this, it almost looks like now the cells are maybe trying to take more of a northerly track. And that is a sign, if we can punch out here just a little bit, that the overall circulation of Milton is making that turn to the northeast. And what's going to push these rotating thunderstorms away from us is actually the center of circulation. Once this starts moving on in and making that turn towards the northeast or the east-northeast, what it's going to do is begin to stabilize the environment and push the rough weather out to sea, but still creating a significant rainfall event here across central Florida. It's been a significant rainfall event already, but it's just going to get exacerbated by the center of this circulation that's going to weaken and fill in and produce another round of significant rainfall on top of all of the rain we've thus far had at the onset of Milton. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch that we're seeing from Milton this afternoon. And it's amazing the amount of lightning strikes with this particular feature. Maybe not so much around the eye, but there's a lot of lightning with this particular storm that is ongoing, especially with those outer first bands, and that's what's creating some issues. Cam, I'm going to have you go back up towards that tornado warning there, and then I'm going to have you actually go to eastern Seminole County because when I look at this right here, this could be an interesting area. And maybe the best thing to do is to show the shear product here across Seminole and Orange County. Okay, so that's behaving. That's good. Then when we head to the south of the east, we use the rotation tracker to see where there's spin in these squalls or any afternoon daily thunderstorm. And really, you got a little bit here, a little bit over towards Lake Nona, but the majority of the spin right now is right along the eastern side of the peninsula, right there from Port Canaveral back towards Satellite Beach. So that's kind of what we're looking at right there. All right, let's take a look now at the reflectivity product here one more time for that area. Ken, did they just kill that warning?
Yes, they allowed the warning to expire, so it expired at 5:45.
Okay, so we're gonna toss it back to Michelle and Jess here, and again, we've got a lot of reporters out in the field that are out in this right now that we want to hear from to kind of tell the story in your county. So guys, over to you.
All right, Tony, thank you guys so much for that coverage. So as we've been saying, there are some evacuation orders in place. And I don't know if you live in Seminole County, you probably woke up to an alert this morning about people who live in low-lying areas, RVs, or even mobile homes needed to evacuate. And shelters are open in Seminole County for people who need them. And they wanted you to go to them to prepare for Hurricane Milton.
Yeah, one of those is Lyman High School. That's where WESH 2's Greg Fox is at. Greg, what are people saying there?
Well, we just left Lyman High School just a short while ago, and we're going to show you some of what they're doing inside these shelters in a second. But I just want to give you an idea now. I mean, right now it's kind of light rain, and it's coming straight down. About 20-30 minutes ago here around 1792 and Dog Track Road, it was blowing sideways. It was unbelievable. And here where we are at this Wawa, it's among the Wawa stations that was hoping to get more fuel, but unfortunately, not all of them can get it all at once. And Wawas are staying open for 24 hours because during storms, they provide a place for first responders to get out of the elements, and obviously they're working toward that. The important thing that we want to talk about now are the shelters. So let's take a look at this video. There are 8 shelters open in Seminole County. As of about an hour ago, there were a little more than 510 people spread out in those 8 shelters. 3 of them are for special needs. 2 of them are pet friendly. And we saw some people coming in that were being helped in after calling to the county to prepareseminole.org and arranging for transportation to a shelter. So we've seen that in action. They're using school buses to bring people in fact. Now I want to talk about energy for a second. Duke Energy is saying that they've got 16,000 people on standby, staged in the villages and then down in Davenport for them to be able to move into the Central Florida area and take care of the roughly 950,000 Duke Energy customers that are in our 9 to 10 county region here in Central Florida. We could be out of power for anything from a couple of days to possibly a week or more, depending on where you live and depending on whether or not they can get to you to restore power. And obviously, we've even got some people, videographer Tim Brown, take a look over here. We've got some equipment trucks that are coming in that are also taking care of things, not just electricity, but also taking care of landscaping needs and other heavy equipment, really just to move some things, including the enormous amount of debris that we're expecting after the storm, after Milton blows through. So that's the situation in Seminole County now. Obviously, if you have any questions or concerns, you can call in Seminole County 407-665-0000. And we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Greg, thank you. Let's take you live out to Collier County. This is the Naples Pier. This is a live look at the storm surge, the waves. Take a look at that. It's gray, it's choppy, the water's almost white. If you're familiar with Southwest Florida, Naples area, this is pretty much off of Gulf Shore Boulevard, Broad Avenue, kind of at the end of Broad Avenue, the Naples Pier right there. You can see the water just really churned up, pulling in and out pretty deep over the pier at some points. And of course, that is the storm surge starting to hit that area there.
We also want to show you some video. It's just incredible. Look at the size of this thing. This is a tornado spotted in the Everglades near Alligator Alley. So this is right along I-75 near the Broward-Collier County line. And if you're familiar with this area, this is right near the Miccosukee Service Plaza. And you can just see, look at how clear that looks, just that cone off in the distance there. And obviously, this was earlier in the day when we were seeing so many tornado warnings in South Florida.
Yeah, no mistaking what that is right there. Just quite the sight to see. Check this out. This is security camera video. The moment an apparent tornado blew by a house in Fort Myers, Florida. Take a look at that. It's getting stronger. Look at the palm trees. The homeowner says he evacuated the area but has been checking their surveillance cameras attached to his house, and that's when he saw that. You saw it pick up right there. The palm fronds starting to come off those trees. Quite the show of force right there by the wind there.
And we have some more possible tornado damage to show you from in Fort Myers. So this is the aftermath. Several tornado warnings were in this area today in Fort Myers. So in this video, what you can see are downed trees, the downed power lines, and damaged houses. There was even a 7-Eleven gas station. I don't know if we're going to pull up to it here now. That was damaged. Parts of the canopy were just tossed right into the street. I think you can see the logo, you see the colors right there from the awning. But this is what the aftermath of tornadoes look like. Just everything shredded to pieces, debris scattered everywhere. And like we said, we knew this was possible. So hopefully everyone in this area was able to get to their safe space or evacuated ahead of this.
Yeah, and if you're familiar with Fort Myers, this is the area near Summerlin right there, if you were familiar with that. Also, in that area, Southwest Florida, this is Matt Lachey right there. That's a bridge in Lee County between Pine Island, Cape Coral area. You can see a tornado on camera for about a minute. You can look at that. It just got really gray. The camera shaking around, all the water all over the place. And again, this is a bridge-like area. So
okay, I think we have a tornado warning that just came in. I heard some sirens going off in our newsroom. Tony's walking over to the weather wall right now. Where is it?
Cocoa Beach.
Okay, we have one in Cocoa Beach. So let's get over to Cam right now.
All right, so we're looking at right there is the water vapor channel, but we'll go ahead and switch it over now back to our live radar feature right there, and you can see there's the tornado warning from earlier there. They have looks like they've extended it now more towards the west northwest. Farther inland, as this second piece of energy is also going to follow suit with that. But there's Cape Canaveral. Again, there's Rock Ledge. We got one piece of energy here. And then right behind that, there's actually a second piece of energy. So there's Cocoa, there's Rock Ledge. We've got a little bit of spin right in there. And that's what the Weather Service is beginning to note as we are, that is going to be rotating off now towards the west-northwest. So let's get down real close here. I want to see some streets there right along US 1 east of Cocoa. We'll pull it back there more towards the east there. And you can see there's Cocoa Beach, there's a Rockwell, and then back towards Cape Canaveral. Cam, if you can go a little more towards the south and the east for me, back towards the ocean, yeah, we can kind of center up that shot. And then I'll have you kind of ping some of those winds right there. This is literally just north of Cocoa Beach, just south of the Port Canaveral area. And we do have a camera there, so we do want to keep an eye to see if we're actually even able to see anything. The rain rate here is incredibly high. And again, this tornado warning does remain in effect now until 6:15 this evening. That's a 20-minute tornado warning for this cell that is going to rotate in now off of the Atlantic waters. And then there's Cocoa Beach, there's Cape Canaveral. We'll get down the street level real close. I want to be able to, so the gate-to-gate wind shear there is 86 miles an hour, 32 and 54. We'll zoom it in, get in real close now so we can kind of hone in on some of the roads there. There's, of course, Cocoa Beach. There's a North Atlantic Avenue. You got Ron John's Surf Shop right over in this vicinity. And then, of course, you go up to the north just a little bit. You've got the Port Canaveral. This cell is right over now, North Atlantic Avenue, just north of Cocoa Beach right now. Of course, you got the pier there. You've got a lot of folks that eat at a lot of the restaurants in and around this area as well. But that is a pretty impressive little signature right now. Gate-to-gate wind shear 34 and 56. So that's 85 plus mile an hour gate-to-gate wind shear, meaning that the winds upstairs are pretty strong. Doesn't necessarily mean that those winds are reaching the ground, but there's the potential for those strong winds to reach the ground. And that's the point we want to make here for our viewers at home. The other product that we like to use is a look at the shear. And when we see yellows going to reds and oranges. We know that that particular field, is strengthening, and that is clearly what's going on right here. And one thing to do when you're doing stuff like this is you can loop this and you can see the evolution of the thunderstorm to see if it's weakening or strengthening. And clearly in this particular loop, this one is strengthening, and the orientation is lining up right there with the Barry Island. So this is going to be a huge, significant wind event, and something that we're going to have to watch. I'm going to ask Marquise to keep an eye on our local in-house chat there to see if we get any damage reports, because that is a very impressive looking shear marker right there. Shears the spin in the atmosphere, creating strong winds that are likely to come down to the surface. So when you start seeing yellow on our shear indicator, there's a very high likelihood that some damaging winds are coming down to the surface where you and I work and play. Again, movement incredibly quick today at about 35 to 45 miles an hour off towards the northwest, at least for the time being. Once Milton starts to make that turn overhead, that'll drive some of these cells offshore. But a couple of towns and cities here for you. You can see Rock Ledge, 610. You got about 14, 15 minutes, folks, there to get down low, safe, interior place of the house, not near glass sliding doors. A bathroom is always a good place to be. We take a look now at a couple more towns. City Point, Courtney, right around 616 there for you. Down the road, Port St. John, over towards Bellwood. And then if it can make it into eastern Orange County, back towards Christmas there at about 640, 650-ish, based on that forward speed there of about 35 to 45 miles an hour. So a very significant wind push now coming onshore. One of the other products we like to use is our impact tracker, and that tells us the rainfall rates, if we've got hail, or if there's even some incredibly strong damaging winds. And we have a color schematic for that is not showing up. This is a hail product, but I highly doubt that there's hail in it today, but there is a lot of rain. So whatever is coming ashore right now, and if there is a tornado, you're not going to be able to see it, especially when rain rates are 2, 3, even 4 or 5 inches per hour. What you will feel is the impact of the wind with that piece of energy coming onshore, and that is clearly what we're seeing right here. We're seeing winds there potentially of 55, 60 miles an hour, and in some instances maybe even a little bit higher than that. So again, a significant wind push is coming ashore with this particular cell that has shown signs of some rotation as it's been moving in from the Atlantic waters, from Crescent Beach back towards the interior here. Again, a couple of the roads that we're watching. You've got, again, South Tropical Drive, South Courtney Parkway, just to mention a few here. Angel City to the north of there. It'll go over the river, and then we'll have to watch Rock Ledge and some communities here in and around and south of the Titusville area, and even back towards potentially I-95. So that is a big, significant push of wind energy, a lot of twisting and turning with that. Let's take a look at one other product and see if there's any debris. Cam, you just read my mind. Look at that. I love that. So there's a different perspective here of what's coming ashore. And unfortunately, yeah, we got a lot of, I was just going to say, she read my mind. There's the clutter right there. When you're this close to the radar, sometimes you get a look like this. But Cam, let's do one thing, if you don't mind. Go back to that debris tracker one more time. I want to loop that one time because we might be able to see at least a hint of something as it was coming ashore. I believe that right in here, that may have been something there. Could be some ocean spray, which would make it look a lot worse than what it is because it was coming over the ocean, and then you had the barrier island and then back over the river there. So something to watch. This definitely looks like there's a lot of clutter. Cam, you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, we are definitely seeing this so what Tony's talking about, this debris tracker takes a look at what the objects inside the storm. So usually if it's rain, it's all the same color, that red. But right now, as Tony's pointing out, as we loop this, you see a lot of clutter right around this area. That's because it's so close to the radar. It's just not picking up anything it's basically static activity. But this bright banding that you see here, I'm actually going to stop the loop to show you what we're talking about here. This bright banding of green, blues, and even a little bit of orange is that sea spray that Tony's talking about earlier, indicating that there may be some rotation. With that rotation, it's basically spreading the seas around. So that's why that radar is picking up that little bright blue there, indicating there may be rotation here. And I just want to compare that with our velocity radar, which takes a look at the spin and compare apples to apples and see if that's exactly where, yes, it is. So where we saw that bright blue is also where we're seeing this rotation. So what we do is we compare apples to apples and make sure that this area where we're seeing that rotation is also where we're seeing that spray. And it looks like it's just actually, let me see, it's just the southwest of that. So this actually may be something different, Tony.
Yep.
The spray, or what the sea spray you're talking about, it's actually a little bit southwest, which actually kind of makes sense with that west-northwesterly trajectory. So the rotation's here, but the debris tracker is picking up on that sea spray here because there's a little bit of a delay, Tony.
It's the same thing we saw earlier when we were near Holopaw and Deer Park. So again, just kind of an interesting and kind of a cool thing that we're seeing within a hurricane that can create a different dynamic. You got something else?
So Tony, to me it looks like there's two. Let me hone in this. Just analyzing this radar. I don't mean to interrupt you or anything. This caught my eye, but it looks like there might actually be two couplets here. So let me draw this here, bring this to your attention. There's one there, maybe a second one here, and then offshore. That one looks like it's moving north, so that shouldn't be impacting us, but it looks like basically two couplets, and then there's one just offshore as well. This is the third one here, but to me it looks like there was two. This is the main event, and that second one is a bit more broad, Tony.
Yeah, so when we were looking at that earlier, remember we were saying there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think if you widen out that view just a little bit more.
There's 4.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what I was just going to say. So, so we're going to be busy in Brevard County is what basically that's telling us and our viewers over there. We want you guys to, just be ready. We're going to be here for you. We're going to get you through this. It's not the first time we've gone through a tornado warning, but we're trying to give you as much heads up as possible. Remember, when these cells are moving at 35 to 45 miles an hour, you don't have a whole lot of time to prepare. So the best thing that we can do is not just focus in on what is going on right now, but what is going on to the east of you that is likely to also head your way a little bit later on. So she's looking at the shear tracker over the land, but I'd be curious to see what the shear looks like out over the water where those other cells are much farther to the east and pick up, so that's, and I think there might even be one more behind that that we'll have to keep an eye on. So there's a lot of energy off the coast. That one there off towards the south, that's saying it's going north, but Cam, I believe if you loop that is not going to the north. I think that's going more towards maybe the west-northwest. So we'll watch that. There's a lot of lightning in that as well. So actually that does look like it's going north. So maybe this is the beginning of cells beginning to feel the impact of Milton that's approaching the Tampa Bay or just south of the Tampa Bay area. But here's the big problem right now. Let's get street level. I want to get some more towns on in here. This is the big story. This is the concern right now. From Cape Canaveral back towards Cocoa Beach. Here we go. Big push of wind, big spin right there. This is going to move over the river and then back over towards Merritt Island. And then here, once it goes over, we got the Banana and the Indian Rivers, it'll move inland to the main shore, so to speak. You got Dixon Boulevard there, Cox Road. So we're going to be watching this whole corridor as we get deeper into the evening here during the latter half of the 6 o'clock hour. I think 6:30 to 7 we'll be watching this entire area. So if you live on James Road, if you live over towards City Park, if you live on a Bear Trail, if you're in some of those communities here, just know that we're watching this. You guys need to be on alert potentially for something holding together and at the very least giving you the chance for not just wind, but maybe something that rotates as well within a big shield of very heavy rain. So that's something we're going to be watching again very, very carefully. Lake Drive, Point Siena Road, just a few more cities, towns, street towns there as we look at what is coming your way from off towards the east. That's going to be the big concern. That little area there just to the south and east. There's Angel City. Again, we've got, this is the whole Merritt Island corridor headed up towards Cocoa there on the mainland and then just north of the Rockledge area. This whole area is going to be impacted by this piece of energy that is going to be rolling in from, it already is, it's rolling in from the Atlantic waters and we're crossing over Merritt Island and then towards the mainland here within the next half hour. So that's, again, the big concern for us there. Let's go back to that velocity product, if you don't mind, Cam, one more time, where it's coming ashore just to kind of gauge if the rotation is getting stronger or weaker, or if it's getting stretched on out. And then you can see right there, there's a couple more roads there for you. We've got the Tropical Trail, the spin right there. This is the one I think we need to watch right there. This is that's the one that's catching my eye. The gate-to-gate wind shear there is probably pretty similar to what we were seeing there earlier. This one looks a little bit more stretched out, but certainly was pretty impressive looking there earlier. But this whole swath of energy is moving now off towards the west-northwest, and the winds here are you know, they're decent. They're, you know, it's 68 mile-an-hour gate-to-gate wind shear. If that does come down to the ground, that is a piece of energy that can certainly do some damage and move some things around, and we don't want them going through windows. And hopefully, like many of us here, you've taken off all of those pieces of equipment, let me see, some of the products around your pool inside before this event rolled in. We don't want any flying objects going through your lanai screens or your patio pool doors. So big push of energy right there from Cape Canaveral down towards the Cocoa Beach area. Guys in the back, I'm not sure if we have a crew over there or one of our trucks that are out live. That's going to be an angry ocean, and there's going to be an ominous looking sky right here. And the other thing we want to watch is, of course, what this does as it rotates farther west towards the interior. But a lot of solid wind. We got pinging anywhere from 55 to almost 72, 73 mile-an-hour winds right now, and that is certainly strong enough with the saturated grounds already to potentially topple over some older trees that maybe are a little bit rotted out, that don't do very well in this type of environment. So something we're going to watch. If we get any news on that or any information from our viewers, we'll let you know. And you can see there's Cape Canaveral, Audubon, down towards Rock Ledge. This whole piece of energy is now rotating from the east-northeast towards the west-northwest. And Cam, I tell you what, wow, that piece of energy just offshore. I hope that does not come ashore, because that actually may be the strongest signature that I've seen all day.
You literally read my mind, Tony. I'm just looking at all the areas where we're seeing rotation this afternoon, and this one offshore just over my shoulder here, that looks quite impressive. In fact, I'm going to ping the winds within that just to see how strong they are. And we are talking about, once I get the winds all set here, we are talking about gate-to-gate shear. Wow, 120 miles per hour gate-to-gate shear. So what we mean by gate-to-gate shear is the power of the rotation. So when the shear, or these two numbers exact over 100 miles per hour, there's likelihood of rotation. So this is definitely a water spout that's just offshore. The reason why we're keeping tabs on this one is right now, the storm tracker on this is saying this is moving due north, but with the trajectory of the storm about to make its way inland or make landfall within probably the next 2 to 3 hours, this may spin up and move more towards a west-northwesterly direction. If that does verify, which we hope it doesn't, this could mean that this water spout could make its way onshore, which we do not want at this point. But let's address the current tornado warning that's currently in effect here for Brevard County for about another 10 or about 6:15, so about 7 minutes here. So we still are seeing a fairly decent couplet or a sign of rotation. That's what we mean by couplet here. And I'm going to actually hone it down to street level here, where we're actually seeing that rotation. And to me, this area that we're watching for possible rotation doesn't look nearly as impressive anymore, which is good news. That means that the spin is not as strong, but I just want to verify that with our shear rate, which takes a look at the spin in the atmosphere. And unfortunately, we're still seeing that spin, that red indicating that high level spin, but it's not as high as it was before, which is good news. But here's a closer look at some of the communities this will likely impact. So I'm going to shift this off to my right shoulder here and just give folks some lead time here. So this is about to cross the beach line. So if we have a camera on the beach line, that would be great. And hopefully we can get some shots of this, or even our camera shot of Rusty's at the port. We have a live camera there, courtesy of our friends Rusty's at the port. This is about to cross the causeway here, heading towards Sharps, heading towards Williams Point, also Canaveral Acres here, getting it down to the street level. So this is, again, about to cross Merritt Island here, and some of the towns that this is about to move over includes Sea Ray Drive. So it's about to cross over Sea Ray Drive. This is Courtney Parkway, and also North Tropical Trail. So if you're familiar with this area, this is the causeway that takes you out to Cocoa Beach, and this is literally about to move over it if this again is indeed actually a tornado on the ground. Again, the signature with this doesn't look as impressive as what we saw earlier, Tony, but I just want to give people, at least on Merritt Island, where this is about to cross over, heads up, and then eventually it's going to move its way onto the mainland towards areas like Sharps, Canaveral Groves Boulevard, James Road, Cox Road, Dixon Road, Cocoa, and Adamson Road there, just west of James Road, about the intersection there as we go into North Range Road as well, and eventually Indian River Drive as well. Send it back to you, Tony.
You know, one of the things, here's what's going on in my head right now. If you can go back to that red shear there and kind of show the viewers that, I think the Weather Service, Cam, has a very difficult decision to make here, and I'll tell you why, okay? There's still a decent amount of shear there. And one of the other things we have to kind of worry about here is the population. So I think what's going to be going on in many of their minds right now with this particular cell is, okay, do we put caution to the wind here and keep this going for a little while longer, or do they feel the trend is significant enough for it to weaken? So that's the decision they're going to have to make here, I believe, in the next 3.5 minutes. And when you lapse that, when you have that going there, you know, there's a lot of people live on Merritt Island too. Let's not forget that. Then you cross that and you get a little farther inland, back towards the west here. There's some major population centers here as well. So they I believe, have a pretty tough decision to make here. It does expire, as you said, at 6:15, but I'm going to be very curious to see what they do on this one, just because of the location of the cell, and that we still have some decent shear there. We don't have the couplet we had there earlier, so we'll just kind of hold off on that one. And then the other thing we have to keep in mind is right behind this, there's two other features that we have to keep a tab on here as well. So a lot going on here. We just want folks to be safe. If you live in and around Sea Bay Drive, down towards just south of there and on US 1, there's a lot of wind and a lot of rain coming your way. I just saw a report in Indian River of 9 inches of rain today alone, with that stuff coming up on our little chat there. So that's the other bigger picture. The bigger concern, once the severe weather threat goes away, is the heavy rainfall amounts that we will continue to get once the severe weather threat is over. That is going to continue right through the early morning hours tomorrow before things eventually begin to move offshore. If there's any saving grace here, as we kind of go back to we haven't shown the 6 o'clock update here because we were right in the middle of that tornado warning in a very potent storm, I should say, there just a short time ago. But I'm going to ask Cam here for just a quick second to give me an update. We have, again, of course, the cone, the speed, and then where it's headed there. I want to kind of just take a look at that so that I can put mentally in my head, hey, is this accelerating? If it is accelerating, does that mean that the tornado length and threat is going to be a little bit lower? So that'll help me out. But there's the live radar. There's that tornado warning. And you can see there's another pretty intense cell in the wake of that one. The lead cell, as Cam was just mentioned, she's absolutely right. It has weakened, so that's certainly some good news. But there's still a little piece right there on the east side of Courtney that is moving off towards the west-northwest that we may want to keep just a closer eye on that there as it moves off towards the west end or the west-northwest. And then obviously behind this tornado warning, there may be more with all of that energy that's off there in the Atlantic waters that are trying to also as well move back towards the coast there. So I think we're going to be busy here for a while, tracking the energy here for our friends and family members that live over in not only southern Brevard, but also here in central Brevard County for at least the next half hour to 45 minutes, if not longer, depending upon what happens with that energy offshore. Let's take a look here at the 1 hour rainfall rates, because there's another point I think we have to make. When you have these spin-ups and you have rain rates that are 4, 5, 6, 7 inches an hour, these are the what we call the hourly rain rates, you are not going to be able to see what's coming your way. Think about it when you're driving on the daily afternoon thunderstorm, which are nowhere near, by the way, these rainfall rates. Yeah, you sometimes you have to pull over Well, think about this. You may have something inside of here. You're never going to see that. You're going to feel it when it hits you. And that's never a good situation to be in. And that's the point we're trying to drive home today. So when you get a tornado warning, whether it's whether it's via your phone, via you watching us on TV, we need you to take action. We need you to take action immediately and get to a safe place in your home. There, for the first time today, I see a rotation tracker.
Tony, it looks like it expired.
Did it expire it?
Yes, they just let it expire at 6:15. But again, as you mentioned earlier, there's a couple of shear markers still offshore that we got to watch here, including one and then two, just to your left there. I have the radar right next to you, or actually, is it to your left? It's to your left.
Yeah,
we have a couple more shear markers and some rotating cells that we need to keep on. But officially for that tornado warning in Brevard County, it has expired, Tony.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send it back to the desk over there. Again, we have a lot of crews positioned out there, and they're working tirelessly. And there's a lot of things going on in many communities here in Central Florida. So for now, we're going to continue to watch what's going on along the coast. I don't think we're done yet, but we do need to take you out to your communities via our reporters to kind of give you what's going on so far with Milton. Guys, back to you.
All right, Tony, thank you. Let's take you outside right now because we actually have live pictures from Brevard County from one of our tower camera networks, and you can see just how that sky is looking based off the anger that we've been talking about for the last several hours now. Tony, talking about the several different tornado warnings that have happened in Brevard County. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But first, let's also talk about Orange County because they gave us an update just a short while ago while we were in one of those tornado warnings. Here's that live picture now from Brevard County showing one of those bridges that's been dealing with some of that storm water. But we're also looking at Orange County, who also had a tornado warning.
Yeah, they did. Let's go ahead and check in with WESH 2's Michelle Meredith. She's joining us from the Emergency Operations Center in Winter Park. Michelle.
Well, the mayor had a news conference several hours ago, and he had a lot of good information. So if you live in Orange County, listen up. He said that the worst of the storm should be about 6 o'clock tomorrow evening in Orange County. He said that there will be flooding. There will be flash flooding. We know we're going to get a lot of rain. Also, winds here, 45 to 65 miles per hour. Wind gust up to 80 miles per hour in Orange County. So there will be damage. There will be power outages. Now, kind of on another note, I was driving to work this afternoon, and I passed by this shopping center that I drive by every day at 1792. And usually it's just full of cars and people. And it was a ghost town, all rolled up. And I found one lone would-be shopper who was completely thrown off guard. What were you trying to get?
Some baskets just to put stuff in it.
To like, stuff to
prepare for the hurricane, yeah. Like some blankets, some things like just to prepare.
Oh, are you disappointed?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, you've got to be concerned about this storm.
Yeah, I am a little bit. I don't think it will be like that strong here in this area, but it definitely will have something. So, yeah, we need to prepare.
That's what you were trying to do?
Yeah.
Too late?
Yeah, too late.
I'm sure she is resourceful and made it all work. And as we know, we should all be where we need to be right now to be safe. Live in Orange County, Michelle Meredith, WESH 2 News.
Michelle, thank you. Of course, this storm is covering the entire center part of the state. This is a live picture from St. Petersburg where you can see they may be possibly dealing with storm surge as this storm continues to get closer to this area. Again, our meteorologists are telling us it could be down to a couple of miles as to whether or not it goes into Tampa Bay.
And as we've been telling you, we have our crews spaced out across Central Florida. Right now, we want to take you out to Tampa. That is where WESH 2's Justin Shecker is. He was on Bayshore Boulevard, where the rain and the wind are obviously picking up. Justin.
And guys, good evening. We've actually moved away from Bayshore Boulevard because take a look. We are feeling the impacts of Hurricane Milton here in Tampa. This is Hillsborough Avenue behind me. This is right near the Hard Rock Casino, which you might have seen driving on I-4 out to Orlando. This is the strongest rain we have felt all day here in the Tampa area, and the winds are really starting to pick up here. As I look over, I can see flags whipping around. Just listen to that. This is the strongest wind gust we have felt so far here in Tampa Bay as Milton moves closer to landfall later tonight. I can tell you the businesses across the street, they are boarded up. Normally this will be a very busy road here, Hillsborough Avenue. There are very few cars on the road. We were out of the evacuation zone, but we were over on Bayshore Boulevard. We saw very few cars there as well, as many people have heeded the warnings from Mayor Jane Castor and local officials to get out of the way. And we know the worst is yet to come, but just this is the strongest wind and the heaviest rain we have felt so far. We know from Hurricane Helene there was an awful storm surge that devastated parts of Tampa Bay. This is also going to be a rainmaker as Milton continues to drop rain on us here in Tampa. So we're going to stay here for the rest of the night. We're in a safe location away from the evacuation zones as conditions continue to deteriorate. Live in Tampa, I'm Justin Shecker, WESH 2 News.
Hey, Justin, thank you. Let's stay in Tampa right now, where you can see that they have water barriers that are going up. They put these up earlier this afternoon. Crews put this up around the hospital, one of the hospitals there, to protect it from the potential storm surge. Remember, we've already shown you Tampa General Hospital, which put up that huge aqua fence. That worked during Hurricane Helene. They are expecting the potential of double the amount of storm surge that they saw in that storm.
Listen, if it worked before, try it again, and hopefully it works again. Here we're taking a live look at the Selman Expressway in downtown Tampa area, heading towards Bayshore Boulevard, where Justin Shecker said he just moved away from. You can see the rain is coming down and not very many people out in the roads, and that's exactly the sight we want to see as Milton makes its way closer and closer to the Tampa Bay area.
And another look right now at the vantage point from our hurricane hunters who have been going in and out of this system since it was in the Cancun area. You can see this bumpy ride that they have been experiencing. At one time, this is a Category 4 storm. It's weakened to a Category 3, but the work doesn't stop until this one gets on land. We'll, of course, continue to get the updates from the hurricane hunters as they go in and out of this system.
And since about 2 o'clock this afternoon, it has just been one tornado warning after another. Lee County officials confirm at least 2 tornadoes actually touched down this afternoon as Milton moved in.
Sarah Mankiewicz from our sister station just filed this report from a community down in Fort Myers.
In this North Fort Myers community, a tornado has just touched down. We have found out the fire officials are actually just leaving now. That's the North Fort Myers Fire Department over there. And we've seen the Lee County Sheriff's Office over here. The Bayshore Fire Rescue has been out here as well. But the damage out here is just hard to look at. I mean, just even up in the trees. If you take a look up there, you can see aluminum is in there, and then all the way down at the base of the tree, just so much damage that's happening as well. But these houses here, this is Bermuda Court that we've got over here. There is just house after house after house with damage. You can see the roof has been torn off. Debris is just scattered along these yards and in these streets, and it doesn't stop there either. I'll have you guys come over this way to the left over here because it just keeps going. All these homes over here across the street have been impacted too that have had so much damage from this. You can see all that aluminum in the trees and even on the power lines as well, but there is just debris everywhere lining these roads. And so we're out here talking to people, trying to make sure that everyone is okay. But for now, I'm in North Fort Myers. Sarah Mankiewicz, back to you.
Wow. Wow.
Seeing some of those images that we have been seeing from tornadoes, whether it's online and some of the reports that we've seen filed, it's just scary to see some of the size of those systems that have come on shore. Here's a live look right now on the Sanibel Causeway, clearly shut down to traffic because they are expecting a storm surge in this area. This is the same area, the entire West Coast for that matter, had to deal with Hurricane Helene just a week and a half ago. Now you can see seas angry once again. Wind is shaking this camera violently, and it's only expected to get worse as the storm continues to get closer to shore. And we continue to learn more now about the damage left behind by tornadoes in southwest Florida, specifically north of Fort Myers. And of course, we just spoke to one of the victims, talked to a man and his pregnant wife. He just spoke about the moments when that twister hit.
We're looking at that little hole right there, the little crack, little peephole, so I can see what's going on around the neighborhood. I saw the tornado coming. I yelled for my wife to come look at it. It's cool. Kid, wife, come look at it. Started to get close, hit the trees, and we all started going for the hallway. Didn't even make it there in time. Started doop doop, and I heard a piece of glass crack, and it sucked the whole roof off, and I felt the thing suck me up, and I grabbed my kid and my wife and hunkered down.
You see, he's got storm shutters up to prevent from things flying in, but now no longer has a roof after this tornado ripped his home apart. Thankfully, clearly, as he described, they're all alive and doing well at this hour, and at least in the best spirits that you can possibly be in. Wow.
That's incredible video right there. Now, a mandatory evacuation order is in effect right now for parts of Volusia County.
WESH News' Haley Crumblehome live for us at Daytona Beach. Haley, how are people taking those orders? And I saw a video you posted online showing sandbags still being piled in front of some businesses.
Yeah, I will say those are kind of the only people we've seen down here. The wind has clearly arrived in Volusia County, and businesses prepared before they cleared out. You see, we've got some sandbags here. If we take you a little further down this road here, you can see we've also got some businesses boarded up. We're pretty far down here, shored up with some plywood there. That's something we're seeing throughout downtown Daytona Beach. Now, one of the things that the Volusia County Sheriff's Office is saying today is they're going to back the peninsula, let people come off of edges and things like that right now. But once it reaches a certain point, about 40-mile-per-hour winds, that's when they're going to start access there. Now, I did see on Twitter they were prepping teams, but the Sheriff's Office said aren't going to be able to get to people, at least not right away. Now, like I said, there are evacuations for parts of Volusia County. I believe all of evacuation today. At 3 o'clock this afternoon, about 800 people had come to the county's shelter. So people are clearing out. They are going someplace safe, but they want people to be off. There is going to be a curfew that's going to take at 8 o'clock. Live in Volusia County, Haley Crumpelhome, WESH 2 News.
All right, Haley, thank you. Of course, her shots going in and out as winds continue to be a major issue along our coastline. Now, while we have been in tornado warnings for most of the day and afternoon, we've also been collecting video of twisters that have been spotted across the state.
Yeah, WESH News' Darren Stoltzfus joins us in studio right now. So, Darren, take us through what we have.
We spotted several pieces of video just like this. People seeing tornadoes off in the distance and then grabbing their...
Oh my God. Wow. This thing is no joke. Look at the debris in the air. Look at the debris. Oh my God.
All right, we're going to fix Darren's mic, so we continue to learn more about some of the damage that's been left behind. People seen grabbing the phone so they can capture some of these videos. This is just one of them. Not sure if beautiful is the right way to describe it, as that man just said, but this is video shot earlier today of a tornado that touched down in Hendry County, just west of Clewiston. You can see the video zooms out and see how big that storm truly is.
Incredible. Now let's take a closer look at this clip. A viewer shot this in Okeechobee County earlier today. It's kind of hard to tell, but it does look like it touched down because you can sort of make out what appears to be debris kind of spinning around the twister. Also, in Palm City, south of Port St. Lucie, a viewer shot this video of a tornado trying to get its act together. Pretty amazing to look at that in the background, but in the foreground, it just looks like a normal breezy day right there.
Yeah, right. Okay,
Incredible.
Again, we're also just in the beginning of Milton's wrath, so we don't have many details on the extent of damage or injuries that could have been caused by some of today's tornadoes, but we are surely going to get more information throughout the week as it continues to go. We also have some stunning video out of St. Lucie County.
Yeah, you know, a part of what we do, especially when we're out in the newsroom, we're scouring the internet looking for the best video, and some of it came out of St. Lucie County.
You found this one.
Yeah, it was well, I didn't find it, but you know, it was floating around the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Department. Let's go and take a look and a listen. It's coming. While they're trying to get it up.
I'm St. Lucie County Sheriff Keith Pearson. Earlier, we were live putting the message out there because this threat is real. Right here at the Sheriff's Office, 4700 West Midway Road. About 10 minutes ago, a tornado came ripping through here. This is a devastating tornado. It took out that 10,000 square foot red iron building with all of our patrol cars underneath it. Thankfully, nobody was in there at the time. This thing came through and took this out within a moment. We hear the winds going. We're going to go ahead and step back and go back inside for some shelter. But again, if you're seeing this video and you're getting these warnings, take cover, take shelter. This is a real storm. This is a dangerous storm.
And you can see there, take shelter is the right thing to do. Also some video from Florida Highway Patrol. Troopers actually saved a dog that was tied up. This happened on I-75 in the Tampa area. As you know, many people are trying to evacuate. That dog looks to be standing in water that's covered up all of its legs, only potentially getting worse. Saving his life, Florida Highway Patrol, after being spotted along the side of I-75. He is doing safe tonight. They are still trying to figure out exactly who left him there.
And remember, you don't have to resort to this because there are plenty of shelters that are pet friendly. So please, please keep that in mind. We've got a lot of information for you at WESH.com with regards to those shelters.
Our coverage continues right now. All right, we continue with our team of meteorologists who have been tracking the latest on Milton. And of course, this storm has weakened some, but it's been lashing across Central Florida all day today.
Yeah, literally, it was just one tornado warning after another, another. We'd get a quick reprieve and then more coming. I think you said 40 at some point across the state of Florida.
Yeah. Actually, there's been more since that statement, so it's probably closer to 45 now.
Wow.
It's just an amazing outbreak today with the squall line. Starting to see some power outages here as well, guys, so we're going to have to watch that going forward. Cam, you were looking at some of the surge products and some of the wind as well.
Yeah, this is the start of it for the storm surge, but we're also expecting that on the Atlantic side as well. And we're also expecting more rounds of heavy rainfall across our area. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the power outages across our area this afternoon. Look at this. This is just the start, and we have thousands of folks without power already. Tone's going to take over and show you how many folks are without power in some of our communities.
Yeah, look at that, Cam. They are starting to increase now. 2,500 in Seminole County, 2,000 in Orange County, 1,500 here in the Brevard County. So we'll continue to monitor the progress of these. This is actually going to grow as we get deeper into the evening. Now with the 6 o'clock advisory, it is pulling off towards the north and the east. We're probably now 2 to 3 hours away from landfall here at 15 miles an hour. We're probably about 45 miles off the coast, if that. So I think we're going to see the landfall here probably within the next 1.5 to 3 hours. So we're getting real close now to landfall. And remember what we've been saying, just north of the eye is where the heaviest rain is setting up, and that is not going to change. Look at the push here now of the storms getting ready to be flung back towards the eastern side of the peninsula. The more this moves to the northeast, the less of a severe weather threat we are going to have. So that should be shutting down now as we go through 7, 8, 9 o'clock tonight. But the thing that we're going to be watching is the potential for some significant rainfall. So there's the eye, and it looks like it is going to come in south of the mouth of the Tampa Bay. Now, they're going to get some significant surge, but it's not going to be, I don't believe, as high as originally thought with the landfall just south there of the Tampa Bay area. We do have a tornado watch in effect through 9 o'clock. That is when we think things are going to certainly be shutting down as Milton continues to pull up to the north and the east. But look at all of these green polygons. These are flood watches, flood warnings, flood advisories, and it encompasses almost 95% now of our viewing area. Titusville, Cocoa Beach, Melbourne, Keynasville, Kissimmee, downtown Orlando, you're under a flash flood warning. Offshore, spinning thunderstorms now that appear to be moving up towards the northwest. Multiple now flood warnings here from St. Augustine, Crescent Beach, down towards Palm Coast, Shell Bluff, and those also extend farther to the south and west. Now, if there's any good news, there has been a little bit of southwesterly wind shear that's been increasing throughout the afternoon, and that is good in that it's beginning to weaken Milton, but it's bad in that it's expanding the wind field on the eastern side of this storm. You can see our latest paths, very consistent, right on track with where we thought it would be. You can see the visible satellite, sharp cutoff now, moving through the eastern side of the city of Tallahassee there. But while that's going on, look at the dark yellows, the oranges, and the reds. That is that significant rainfall that is ongoing now through a good chunk of central Florida. So for me, landfall is likely to be probably around 8:30, 9:30 this evening based on the latest Tampa Bay radar images there. We do have a lot of spin along the coast. I think the one area we're going to have to watch there is up towards Port Canaveral and up towards northern Brevard County. But Cam, I think if we get through the next 2 to 3 hours, the severe weather threat will be winding down, but the flooding concerns will exist overnight.
That's for sure, Tony, because look at how much rainfall we've picked up over the last 6 hours already. Look at this. Some areas have picked up almost 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. I think these are just radar estimates. I think there are some localized areas that even picked up more than that, about a half a foot already. So here's look at the rainfall totals over the last 6 hours. Right now, we picked up a little over 3.5 inches just east of Kissimmee, out towards Orange County. Some areas have picked up almost 5 inches of rain already, more than 3 inches in Seminole County, and we're still in the thick of it. By the time it's all said and done, we are looking at 7 to 10 inches of rain right along this swath here in the orange that you see, while areas farther north and west are going to see less rainfall amounts. So we're still going to see very heavy rainfall on top of that, winds that will cause power outages likely here in the Orlando, particularly in the Orlando metro. Let's take a look at Futurecast and walk you through hour by hour when we'll see the worst of the weather. So landfall, as Tony mentioned earlier, is expected as we go through this evening, but by midnight, look how these winds really ramp up across our area. So the brunt of the impacts for us, unfortunately, will be likely overnight while you're sleeping. So winds around 60, 70 miles per hour. And then as we go into early Thursday morning, finally the center of circulation begins to trek its way offshore. But notice the backside of the system still bringing heavy rainfall, especially for our coastline communities. So unfortunately, places like in Flagler, Volusia, and Brevard counties, it's almost like a 1-2 punch. The first issue with the hurricane making landfall, giving you the first wave of rain. And then the second wave is when it moves offshore and brings you rain on the backside of it. And that's why we're expecting such huge rainfall amounts. You can still see even by Thursday afternoon, we're still dealing with some rain along our coastline communities there before finally Milton lifts away. We see those winds die down and finally a break in getting in some sunshine. So here is a look at your Central Florida certified most accurate forecast. We continue to see first warning weather for tomorrow as we continue to track out Milton. Friday, we see some improvement, and then this upcoming weekend, finally a break from the soggy wet weather and a teeny tiny taste of fall, at least in the mornings. Back to you guys.
All right, Cam, thank you. People living along the coast evacuated to get out of the way of Hurricane Milton.
Yeah, some Lakeland residents actually took up shelter in one of the hotels. Let's get you out to Osceola County right now. WESH 2's Gail Pasco-Brown is in Kissimmee. She actually spoke with some of these evacuees. What were they telling you, Gail?
I'm telling you, they basically are just trying to flee, Milton. We are at the Quality Inn and Suites Choice Hotels here off of Earl O. Bronson Highway in Kissimmee, or in East Osceola County. And I've met some wonderful people, including some folks here who are from Pasco County, from Port Richey. We talked to some folks here who are also from the West Coast, between Tampa and Fort Myers. It's a bittersweet situation, but look at them. They're just happy. They're just happy that they're safe and out of harm's way. I did get a chance to meet a couple from Lakeland, Rich and Barb Gerard, who live in a manufactured home in Lakeland, and they left to come here to this hotel because, hey, they don't know what Milton's going to do.
Mostly the wind, I think, and probably the forecast originally to come right at us. So we didn't want hurricane winds and so forth. So we heeded the warnings and escaped.
Feeling a little bit safe about that,
yeah.
Barb?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. What about this storm? What concerns you, Barb?
The winds mainly, because of the manufactured home. We don't know how steady they would be or sturdy they would be to withhold the wind.
Now, Rich is a retired New York police officer, upstate New York, and his wife is a school teacher. And we were just so happy to talk to them and glad that they're safe. And we do want to remind you, we know we talked about this a little bit earlier, but it definitely needs to be stated again. Osceola County does have a mandatory curfew that goes into effect from 8 p.m. tonight until 10 tomorrow morning. And the whole purpose when they have a curfew, folks, is to try to keep unnecessary drivers off the road so that law enforcement and rescue can do their jobs and so that you can stay as safe as possible. Hey, WESH 2 News is with you before, during, and after the storm. You don't have to worry about a thing. Just keep it right here. Keep it with us. I'm Gail Pasco-Brown reporting live in Osceola County for WESH 2 News.
Gail always finds a way to bring it home right
she
there.
does.
All right, several tornado warnings were issued this afternoon, as we all know, across Central Florida.
Yeah, a couple of them in Brevard County that were actually extended a few times. WESH 2's Tony Atkins is live in the first warning weather lab right now in Brevard County. So, Tony, what did you see earlier and what are you seeing now?
Well, let me tell you, as we know, this is live TV. The plan was to be in the weather lab, but we started driving. We were making our way from Merritt Island here, trying to get to Cocoa Beach. But then as we were making our way, we started to see tons of flooding along the sides of the road. And then spotted this neighborhood, and I can't believe just how much water has accumulated here. I want you to just take a look at just what you see here. I mean, the street here, this intersection, completely covered by water. We are in Merritt Island, and what I really spotted, this has really become quite an event for the neighborhood. You see a few kids out, and again, this is, obviously a very dangerous situation. We are monitoring this hurricane, but yeah, just incredible amounts of water in such a short period of time has fallen into several neighborhoods here throughout the Merritt Island area. We're also hearing, reports about potential damage in areas near Cocoa Beach. We're on our way to check that out, but we absolutely had to hop out of the weather lab for a second. Look at just how far this water stretches throughout this intersection. If you come with me over here, you can see it going down this way all the way to the other end of the block, and then also more water down there. But again, this is a very dangerous situation. Some people having fun at the moment, but we're going to an eye and keep our ear to the ground regarding what's happening here in Brevard County. So as soon as we get more updates and as soon as we see more flooding, more damage, we'll be sure to bring it to you both on air and online. For now, reporting live in Merritt Island, Tony Atkins, WESH 2 News.
Hey, Tony, got a question for you. We know that you had planned on being in the weather lab, but on your way to your current location, can you describe what was the weather like? Because as we mentioned earlier, Brevard County had a couple of tornado warnings that were extended.
Well, that was a tricky situation because we've been on a clock. I can't count the hours, but it's been about 4 or 5 hours. We would have expected to have done reports on the ground before, but obviously we have to let our meteorologists deliver that critical news to the viewers. But we were trying to get live shots in different areas, but every time we would get ready to go live, there was a new tornado warning here in Brevard County, so we had to go get shelter each time. Perhaps the most, the scariest moment was when we were coming over the Merritt Island Causeway to come over here. We were heading toward Cocoa Beach. I heard Tony talk about that sail that's now offshore that was probably one of the most significant he's seen throughout the day. That's where we were heading to do this live shot.
Okay, so it seems like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. This is live TV.
I think that's Milton difficulties.
Yeah, Milton and live difficulties. So we're going to continue to check in with our crews around, and we'll get back with Tony a little bit later.
Meanwhile, the governor says around 50,000 linemen are expected to be in Florida to try and get the power back on.
WESH News' Greg Fox is at a staging area in Longwood where crews are making their final preparations before Milton makes landfall.
Right now, I'm at the staging area in Longwood, Seminole County, where Duke Energy is helping to prepare crews to get them ready to react to any power outages that are going on. And as you can see, they've got their equipment all set here. They've got all kinds of equipment to replace fuses that blow, transformers that blow. They've got their bucket trucks checked for safety to make sure that they are ready to go. And over here, we're going to talk to Audrey Stasko with Duke Energy to tell us a little bit more about the resources that are in place. So exactly how many people are ready to go in the Central Florida region?
Duke Energy is mobilizing around 16,000 resources. About half of those are close by at what we call mustering sites, 8,000 of them. And at the villages in Sumter and Ritchie Bros and Davenport, the idea is to get them out of the projected path, but close by to ensure a speedy response.
Talk to me about how low the winds are going to have to go before you consider it safe, for example, for a bucket truck to be able to go out and work on a power outage.
Yeah, so it differs depending on driving it or having it up in the air, but anything below 40 miles per hour is what we're looking at.
And how about the number of outages that we could possibly have both in Central Florida and specifically in Seminole County?
So we serve over 950,000 customers right here in Central Florida area. Duke Energy is preparing for more than 1 million power outages due to this catastrophic storm.
And you had to bring in resources from other states, I'm assuming?
Other states all across the country. We had some from California, Colorado, Texas, you name it, all part of our mutual aid assistance.
compare this storm to, for example, the power outages we had with Irma in 2017. That was extensive.
Yeah, I think, we're really trying to set the expectation for our customers that even though we have this large contingency of resources, you will still experience extended outages just based on the catastrophic storm surge, the winds, possible tornadoes, the flooding. Those are all going to have an impact on how quickly we're able to either rebuild or restore.
Audrey Stasko with Duke Energy, and as we come over here again and get a look at the trucks that are ready to roll out of this location here in Longwood, we'll remind you that according to emergency managers in Seminole County, they are predicting that potentially 80 to 90% of Seminole County will be without power at least for some period of time. That might be a couple of days. It might be more than that. Could be a couple of weeks. But obviously in Seminole County, it's important to keep in mind there's both Duke Energy Service and Florida Power and Light Service. So they're going to be working together and as quickly as they can to restore power in Seminole County. And we're in Seminole County. Greg Fox, WESH 2 News.
Thank you. One of our reporters over in Tampa, Justin Shecker, he just posted a screenshot of an alert that he just got of an extreme wind warning for that area, immediate danger of life if you don't take cover.
Yeah, and that's not particularly shocking because we've been expecting this.
That's usually issued before landfall, so they're anticipating landfall to happen fairly soon. That's why that was issued, and of course, with landfall as a Category 3 hurricane, major hurricane, that is expected, unfortunately. So we are expecting the worst there as an landfall in the Tampa Bay area.
And I was going to say, so landfall isn't the eye wall. Landfall is the center point. So the extreme wind warning is usually issued for the eye wall. And Cam and I talked about that with the last event there. So we're going to watch that. But we've got other issues here. We've got flood warnings now coming.
Flash flood warnings.
Yeah, right. So let's get right into this. I want to show you what's going on. And then we'll spend a little bit of time there on the storm itself. As you can see, the winds are now down to 120. This is expected to become a Category 2 hurricane shortly after landfall, 2 a.m. It is on the Polk-Osceola County line, and then you can see by 2 p.m. well east now of central Florida. So there's Milton. There's the center of circulation, the eye right about in here. We did a quick little bit of math. It's going to be about 3 hours from landfall. So think about 9:30 or so. You can see how it's kind of following the line we thought it would take. And that severe risk now does appear to be pivoting up towards the north and the east. Remember, this is the front right quadrant. That's what we were in today. Now that Milton's making its approach, that's going to help us on out. Look at this wall of water, the ocean, 25-foot seas now, and all of this is going to pound the west coast of central Florida, creating that storm inundation. Now, potential for surge here from Marineland to Flagler Beach, 1 to 3 feet. Shell Bluff along the St. Johns, 1 to 3 feet. Gets a little bit higher, though, closer to the center of circulation that goes by into Brevard County here, back towards the Ponds Inlet, and then down towards the south. We'll watch the Turtle Creek area. We'll watch Barefoot Bay. Those are areas that tend to not do too well when we have events like this. But look at the winds now. You're talking about a high wind event. We are now pinging 65, 75 miles an hour there, right on the eastern eye wall. Those winds will likely increase a little bit more. Here now, you can see the gust in that 25 to 55 mile an hour range as those waves of energy are headed our way. But more importantly now, it's rain after rain after rain headed our way. We have a flash flood warning now for Orlando, Kissimmee, down to Melbourne, Cocoa, Titusville. This is a very serious situation. Reports now of over 6.5 to 8 inches of rain within that area. I was just looking at some of the information on that. And then as we head up towards Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County, you can see almost 700,000 people within that flash flood warning right now. Again, a very dangerous situation. You can see we've got the warnings in effect. These will likely carry on over through tomorrow because this is going to take some time, Cam, to push off to the east.
That's right. And not only are we talking about the rain, but also the winds causing power outages here already here across central Florida. Here's a look at the number of folks without power. And keep in mind, we're not even at landfall yet. Here's a look at some of the numbers here. About 10,000 folks in Polk County, over 2,000 in Seminole and Orange County, a piece though. So combined 4,000, and about 1,000 folks in Marion County as well as in Volusia County right now without power. 7,500 people without power right now in Sumter County. So right now we are seeing power outages begin to pick up across our area already. And unfortunately, this will be the case as we go through the overnight hours into early tomorrow morning. So power outages again, very likely across our area as we take the brunt of the system. I want to show you the winds. We're not even then seeing the worst of it right now. I hear a warning and I just want to make sure. Okay, so we have a tornado warning in Brevard County. I'm going to step off screen and let Tony Manolfi take over here. I will run your computer for you, Tony, as I head over to the pod, and I'll switch it over to Lynx 1 so we can get this tornado warning. So just to give you a heads up, Tony, it is right over northern Brevard County.
Yep,
and right now, the tornado warning has it moving north at 20 miles per hour. Right now, the warning is near the Merritt Island Wildlife Refuge, which is not actually too far from where we just had that warning earlier this evening, Tony.
Yeah, I'm going to have you switch it on over. Right now we're using WSI, but if we just click on that little window there, we'll be able to.
Can we switch it over to WSI 1 for Tony, folks, please? WSI 1 if possible.
You want to use Lynx? I think we should use Lynx because of the tornado warning there, which is in WSI 1. So yeah,
correct. Yes.
Because Cam was in front of the thing, we switched it over to WSI 2.
If they can't, I can swap it out on my end.
Exactly. Let's do that. Go ahead and do that, guys.
You know,
I'll
swap it on my end. I will swap it on my end. Sorry, Tony, didn't mean to.
You're good. Take your time. We'll get this. Yeah.
Here we go. We should have it now. Momentarily. The computer's a little bit angry right now.
All right. So, yeah, there it is right there. All right. You got to love technology. There's Oak Hill. There's Titusville. Cam was doing the same thing to me earlier there, so you just got to be patient, I guess, right? All right. There's your tornado warning until 7:15. That little hook right there, that is the concern as this is rotating up towards the north now. There's Titusville, there's Mims, and there's Oak Hill. You can see that this is a pretty potent little piece of energy. It's been kind of skirting and dancing along the coast there, and you can see that right in and around the Wilson area, south of Dumit Grove there. That's the little spin that we are watching right now that is going to be kind of lifting up towards the north. If we can loop that, I just want to show the speed at which these particular features are moving. And you can see right there, they're trying to bend back towards the west-northwest. So over Wilson right now, Dumit Grove, there's that shear that's lifting up towards the north-northwest. Again, the land-water interaction many times actually increased the twisting and the turning with a lot of these cells, especially in those outer bands, and that's what we're monitoring right now. There's even a little bit of shear on the western side of that storm in and around the Titusville area, but that shear has been increasing here, and that's what we're going to be watching there on the northern side of that storm that's heading up towards northern Brevard County at a pretty good clip at about 35 to 40 miles an hour. So again, if you're just joining us, yet another tornado warning today. This one is in effect until 7:15. This one is moving very, very quickly now towards the north-northwest. Dumit Grove is one of the cities that's just to the north of that particular rotating thunderstorm. And if it holds together, Shiloh, we're going to have to watch that. So you can see the warning goes all the way up towards the north. And when we loop the shear product here, just want to show you the orientation of the shear in relationship to that tornado warning. You can see it kind of going more towards the north-northwest here. And that could be something that we'll have to watch there for Shiloh as we get towards the end of that tornado warning right around 7:15, which would be in about 22 minutes time from now. So Shiloh, down towards Dumit Grove, we need you guys to be very diligent as to what's going on. We need you to be on the first floor, somewhere safe in your home, not up high, not near any windows. Remember, underneath the stairwell to a second floor home, always a good place to be. And the bathroom on the first floor. When you look at the bathroom, there's a lot of 2x4s and very little glass. So that's usually a safe place to be. Cam's going to ping now some of the winds on the northern side of this whole wave of energy. And you've got a consistent look there of 55, 65, close to 72 mile-an-hour winds. Some of the pictures there that you're seeing from in and around central Florida showing the not just the heavy rain here, but all across many counties tonight here in central Florida. There's Titusville, there's Dumit Grove, again, just to the west of Wilson, getting some pretty good wind right there that correlates nicely with our rotation tracker. I believe we had a little bit of red, though, in there just a short time ago. So maybe this is the beginning of a little bit of a weakening trend. Don't want to say that just yet, but we'll watch the trends. And I think for me, that's going to be the most important thing. So here's Turnbull. There's Mims. Just outside now of that tornado warning, which is just to your east as this whole line is moving up towards the northwest. So that's one of the things that we're going to be watching here as this kind of unfolds now across northern Brevard County. And Cam, one of the other things that we look at is that debris tracker. So I'm not sure if you want to go ahead and discuss a little bit about that.
Yeah, so here's a look at our debris tracker. And what this does is it takes a look at the objects inside the storm, and whenever their objects are the same, it's all the same color, saying, okay, everything's cohesive, everything's good. But when there's different size objects, which is usually indicative of debris from either a tornado or a funnel cloud, we are going to see different shades or brighter shades of either greens or blues. And thankfully, we're not seeing that at the moment, but of course that can change. I just want to make sure that I loop this and make sure that is definitely the case, that we're not seeing any debris signature here as at the moment. It actually, there may have been, let me loop this back here, going, yeah, just east of Wilson. So you see this bright banding that we see here, the bright oranges east of Wilson. Right before this tornado warning, I believe, was issued, this looked like there may have been a little bit of a signature there, but it quickly disappeared. So oftentimes with landfalling hurricanes, you get these spin ups and then they quickly dissipate, or then they sometimes even come back. So that's why we have to monitor these very closely. But that gives me a little bit of reassurance that if there was a spin up, it was a very brief one, because right now we're definitely not seeing this at the moment. But I also want to hone in down to the street level for you folks here. So as I go in down a little bit closer, putting back the radar here, we're talking about very heavy rain, but I'm going to take the rain off just to show you where exactly these communities are impacted. So even though it may not be rotating, this cell may not be rotating, we're still looking at damaging winds. And again, so I'm going to hone down onto the street level here to show you where we are expecting the impact. So this is right over Merritt Island. It's about to cross the intercoastal here and then make its way to the west out towards Allenhurst and then Dummit Grove. However, we are expecting areas like Shiloh to be impacted as well. So taking a look, this tornado warning basically encompasses the northern portions of Merritt Island, including Wilson, Dummit Grove, and Allenhurst. And if I hone in a little closer into the radar, I want to show you some of the towns, or actually not the towns, the roads that this will be impacting. So this is County Road 3 here that this is about to move over. We're talking about Shiloh Road, Little Pond Road, and then Shiloh Road as it crosses the intercoastal and then heads north into Shiloh Marsh Road, and then Kennedy Parkway, Maytown Road, Oak Hill Road, and honing a little closer here, it's also going to impact folks along Beacon Lake Road, Volco Road, and Maytown Road. This will impact you as well, as this again is moving more towards the north-northwest. Cow Creek Road, Willow Oak Drive. This will impact you as well over the next few minutes. This will also move over Edgewater Junction. We're getting a little bit out of the tornado warning area, but if this holds together, this is the general direction that it could possibly go. So this is the area that is warned right now, the northern portions of Merritt County. We have a tornado warning there in effect till 7:15 this evening. We're still seeing a little bit of a spin as indicated by the light greens, but at least, though, it's not as strong as it was earlier. Sending it back to you, Tony.
All right, Cam, thanks so much. As you were doing your reporting there, I did happen to get some new information, seeing now near Titusville, 7.38 inches of rain from today alone. And then down in Martin County, where we had that tornado warning, there are some reports of some damage down that way. So just a few pieces of information to pass along to you, our viewers, while Cam was helping drive the area of concern here. One other thing I'd like to show here one more time, and this has been a big theme of the day, the hourly rainfall rates within this area of concern are very high as well. Just driving home that point that, you know, you may have a tornado or you could have a tornado, nothing confirmed, in something like this and not even know it because you can't even see your hand 3 feet in front of you because it's raining so hard. So we need you to stay in. You need this rougher weather to pull on out. Not to mention now that you're under a flash flooded warning here as well. You're part of that northern Brevard County one there. So that's one of the things that we're going to be watching as well. So incredible rainfall rates, a concern within this storm, at the very least, some potent winds. When I look at this signature here, as Cam goes ahead and loops this particular view, you're going to see that we're pivoting now from a rotating thunderstorm to a line that's sheared out. And that's why we're seeing more of that wind in that 55, 65, maybe 70-mile-an-hour range in a few locations, as opposed to that twisting and that turning. Then behind that, as you can see, there was another line of some strong gusty winds. There was initially some rotation there. That does not appear to be the case anymore. So I like the trend in which we're going down that way right there. Cam, I think you have some new information to pass along.
That's right. So the National Weather Service just said that they had canceled the warning, and that is why you don't see the warning in the polygon box anymore. But with that note, though, even though they have canceled that tornado warning, there are still many, many cells here out towards the Atlantic that we do need to keep a close eye on. You can see we have another rotating cell right here offshore, and another one, a weaker one, just to the southeast of that. So unfortunately, Tony, this may not be our last. We hope it's our last tornado warning of the night, but that may not be the case as we continue to still have a couple of rotating cells just offshore off the Cape there. But this current warning that we went on air for, it expired at 7:15. What was expected to expire at 7:15 has actually been expired early. Back to you, Tony.
All right, Cam, thanks a whole bunch. So we'll continue to keep an eye on those cells offshore, but I want to send it back to Summer and Stu. Again, we've got a lot of crews out in the field. They've been working hard. They've got stories from every county here in Central Florida. So let's send over to the desk and get more of Milton, the stories where you live right now.
You're watching continuing coverage of Milton from WESH 2.
And we all started going for the hallway. Didn't even make it there in time. Started toot-toot, and I heard a piece of glass crack and sucked the whole roof off.
Now at 7, Hurricane Milton taking aim at Florida and tearing up homes in its path.
There you can see aluminum is in there, and then all the way down at the base of the tree, just so much damage that's happening as well.
Here in Central Florida, the roads are so dangerous, trucks are spinning on the highway. Stick with WESH 2 on the air and online. We've got live team coverage to get you through the storm.
And we are resetting right now because it is 7 o'clock, and these are live pictures from St. Pete and Tampa as the storm continues to get closer and closer to shore. This is the local highway there, but you can see the storm surge is already starting to take over some areas where buildings should just be sitting on dry land.
Our producer was just telling us exactly where that was. Can you repeat that for us so we can tell folks? Philippi Island out there on the west coast, and that is the storm surge that we have been talking about, Tony, that we have been expecting. Look at that, it's already so high. That's and we're just getting started. Yeah.
So again, the forecasts are from anywhere from 7 to 12 feet. You're looking at that video right there. I think we're going to be on the high end right there.
Where are we positioning as far as like Tampa Bay? Because I know that's been the issue, the mile or two here or there.
Yeah, so Cam and I have been looking at that. It looks like it's going to come in just south of the mouth of the Tampa Bay. Now, does that mean a lower storm surge? Probably, but it's still going to be awfully high, and it's certainly not safe, as you can see in the video right there, right, Cam?
Yeah, we are definitely, it's a little bit of a saving grace, but we're still talking about likely storm surge as high as Helene or even higher. Correct. And remember, they haven't really gotten a chance to really recover from Helene yet, and now this is just adding to that. On top of that, we're seeing all these drenching downpours. We have flash flood warnings now in effect for our area, and now we've been nonstop with the severe weather. Yeah. Thankfully, though, it looks like we may have a break, but there's 2 cells offshore that we're tracking, Tony. For now.
We're just hoping to be able to catch up and provide the rest of the gamut of stuff that we've been covering. Yeah.
Of course, the 7 o'clock for Milton just came in as well.
I was just going to say, let me put that cone up there right now. There we go. Winds at 120. It is moving down to the northeast there at 15 miles an hour. Pressure went back up now to 952 millibars. We are roughly about 2 to 2.5 hours from landfall here, from the center right there. Cam and I and Marquise were doing some of the distance tracker on that, and just kind of estimating the time of arrival. We think it's going to be right around 9:30 this evening, 9:30ish, somewhere right in that range. And then as it moves on shore, it loses that energy source and then does begin to weaken. So that's one of the things that we're going to be watching carefully. There's the eye. There's the cone, again, coming in maybe on the southeast side, but pretty darn close to the center point. Here's the mouth of the Tampa Bay. there's where it is likely to come in. It's still creating the surge there for sure, but had it come in up here, it might have been even worse. It's still bad, don't get me wrong, but we're going to be watching that. Then we've got surge issues on the eastern side of the peninsula once Milton moves away from our east coast. Look at all the nasty thunderstorms here. This was part of that whole complex of tornado warnings. The northern flank, it's going to take just a little bit more time to evacuate our area. I think you give this another 1 to 2 hours. It'll be north and east there of Volusia County. Then I think we'll shut it off. And the main concern now is what's going to happen here is this whole swath is going to fill in with very heavy rain around the eye. Just north of that eye, and we've had that rain all day, this is all going to fill in. This is going to be steady to heavy rain. It's been already leading to flash flood warnings, flash flood advisories. Streams and creeks are on the rise. Marquise was just updating some of the levels on the St. Johns. We'll continue to feed you that information at certain points during the evening hours here. And there's the reason why that water that Nancy was just showing you is beginning to increase as Milton is approaching landfall. So a lot of moving parts here. Most of the winds, the gusts have been in that 55, 65, and close to 77 range down in and around south of the Tampa Bay area near Sarasota. Winds here, not that bad so far, 45, 55, but these will continue to increase as Milton moves ashore and then back towards the east. The other big developing story right now, the flash flood warnings. We got a huge flash flood warning now that encompasses Kissimmee, Claremont, Orlando, up towards Sanford, back towards Titusville, Cocoa Beach, and Melbourne. You guys are all in that flash flood warning. That will continue till 9:45 tonight. That is 1.8 million people impacted by the heavy rain in this particular flood warning. There's another one out of our area, and then there are multiple others up in the Flagler County. Not seeing any rotating thunderstorms up your way, though, so some good news. It's just about the rain. And again, flood warnings remain west of 75, north of the eye. We'll be watching along Sumter County, I-75 in the Marion County through the evening hours.
Yeah, so Tony, you just mentioned that the winds are manageable so far, not too crazy yet. But look at that. Even with the winds that we have right now, we already have thousands of folks without power. Look at this, 7,000 folks in Marion County without power, 7,500 in Sumter County, and 9,000 folks in, right now, Polk County without power at the moment. So unfortunately, we are expecting these numbers to gradually increase as we go through the night as Milton makes landfall, and we're expecting even stronger winds as it crosses the peninsula. How much stronger can it get? Well, here's a look at your Futurecast wind models here. Around 10 o'clock, the center of the circulation in the eye will already be moving inland, and we're expecting wind gusts of around 78 miles per hour in Polk County, 66 in Osceola County. Winds well over 50 to 60 miles per hour, even into the Orlando metro, including, we're talking about Orange County. And we're going to start to see the winds even pick up on the eastern side as well. As it crosses over at 3 a.m., we have winds of about 50 to 60 miles per hour, winds of about 60 in Palm Bay, 60 in Melbourne, and 60 in Titusville. Finally, Milton moves offshore, but that doesn't mean the winds just died down. We're still going to see tropical storm strength winds on the backside of this, especially for our coastal communities. Then as we go into Thursday afternoon, inland spots start to get a reprieve from the wind. But look, folks along the coastline still going to be dealing with those strong winds a bit longer. Then as we go into Thursday night to Friday, that's when we'll gradually see those winds subside. So we are still in the thick of it here. I'm expecting more power outages, unfortunately, as those strong winds from Milton are really expected late tonight into the overnight hours is when we'll see the brunt of it. Thankfully, though, as Milton moves away, we'll see drier air moving in and some sunshine as well return to Central Florida. Back to you guys.
All right, Cam, thanks. We'll check in with you again shortly. Now we want to get you out to Florida's Gulf Coast. Families there bracing for the devastating impacts from Milton.
The storm surge, as we saw at the top of this show, just shows how that water is starting to rush into St. Pete. WESH 2's Justin Shecker is live for us in Tampa, where conditions are quickly going downhill. Justin, I saw that emergency alert that you posted.
That's right. The National Weather Service has issued an extreme wind warning here in the Tampa area, and we are feeling those wind gusts here. We moved away from Bayshore Boulevard. We are on Hillsborough Avenue, which is northeast of the bay. And the wind gusts, they are relentless at this hour as Milton moves closer to Florida's Gulf Coast. Now is the time in the Tampa Bay area to take cover. The good news is being in the evacuation zones earlier today, there were not a lot of cars on the road, so people were listening to local officials that we knew this is what was to come, these strong hurricane force winds and the relentless rain. A big concern across Tampa Bay is the amount of debris from Hurricane Helene that was not picked up in the last 2 weeks, and there was a concern that debris could become projectiles flying through the wind. Luckily, we're in a safe spot here of a shelter to go into if it gets even worse than this. But back there in Orlando, you guys can see this is the heaviest rain, the heaviest wind we are feeling so far here in Tampa Bay from Hurricane Milton. Reporting live in Tampa, I'm Justin Shecker, WESH 2 News.
And just stay safe out there for us, Justin, with our crews as well. We're also going to hear from the governor coming up at 7:30 to give us an update on this storm system that could be making landfall around that time. All right, emergency crews are in place in Osceola County as Milton moves towards Florida.
WESH 2's Luana Munoz is live at the Emergency Operations Center there in Kissimmee with more on what's happening in that county right now. Luana.
You know, Nancy Stewart, it feels pretty calm out here. There's not any heavy winds. However, we did just lose power here, and the generators are now in effect here at the Emergency Operating Center. We can hear the generators blowing literally as we were getting ready to go live. We saw the lights go off. Everything went black here, and then we heard those generators kick in. That is the importance of this location here, and it is all hands on deck here at the Emergency Operating Center. You can see right there, we are storm ready. That is exactly what they are. They are behind the scenes right now. All of the crews are working, communicating with each other, making sure that everyone within the county gets exactly what it is that they need. The big issue right now, of course, the winds, the tornado watches and warnings that we have been hearing Cam and Tony Manolfi talking about. They talked about, Bill Linton, the emergency manager or emergency director here, talked about the 2 tornadoes that touched down in Hollopaw area. Those are rural parts of the county, so not really impacting the community. However, they did confirm that those tornadoes did in fact touch down. That is a huge issue. They talked about the tornado watches extending possibly beyond 9 p.m. and into the early morning hours. So EOC officials are really just trying to get the message out tonight that wherever you are, you need to hunker down in place. They don't want people out on the roadways. Take a listen.
Don't hesitate. Get into your nearest central place of your home. Take some bedding or mattress that protects you if you do get some damage to your home. But really do heed that. And I'm asking that our residents really take that to heart tonight, especially as we're going into the evening hours.
All right, Osceola County has opened up 8 shelters countywide. 3 of them are already at max capacity, and that includes Kissimmee Middle School, Liberty High School, and Gateway High School. So those doors have been locked. The other ones are still open. But once again, officials are saying, look, if you haven't made it to a shelter already, just hunker down in place unless you absolutely have to be there. They are expecting the winds to start picking up at around the 8 p.m. hour. That's not too far from now. So things are really going to start changing here. And like I said, before we went on air, the lights, the power went out and the generators kicked in. So it might be hard to tell. It might not be as windy where I'm standing, but that doesn't mean that it's not very windy around us. We're starting to even feel these winds starting to pick up just in this live shot alone. So for now, reporting live in Osceola County, I'm going to continue to talk with the EOC officials here and get more updated information for you. Back to you.
All right, Luana, thank you. We are going to continue to bring you all these impacts county by county here in Central Florida. Also want to let you know President Biden and Vice President Harris held a hurricane briefing with federal emergency leaders earlier today. The president says the federal government stands ready to help people in the wake of Milton.
I know it's really tough leaving behind your home, your belongings, everything you own. But I urge everyone in Hurricane Milton's path to follow all safety instructions as we head to the next 24 hours. It's a matter.
And meanwhile, on the federal level, President Biden delayed his overseas trip to stress how deadly Milton can become, with local leaders saying avoiding evacuation orders could be deadly. Hundreds of workers on the ground and thousands of National Guard members have been mobilized, but the government is warning of another hazard: misinformation about the help available.
It's just really creating an interference for us to be able to do the job that we need to do.
FEMA has dedicated part of its website to combating false information circulating on social media about its response. President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris will be briefed throughout the day on Hurricane Milton's path and the preparations underway.
All right, and we cannot talk enough about the first responders that are on standby, ready to get to work. Take a look at this. This is Miami-Dade Fire Rescue's Urban Search and Rescue Team, Florida Task Force 1. So they're made up of about 106 members of this team ready to deploy, equipped with swift floodwater rescue capability, made up of trained firefighters, paramedics, rescue specialists, doctors, engineers, and you saw them there just a little while ago. They have 4 canine teams. And really, when we look at images like this, these are people that are leaving their homes, their families, their own belongings behind to help our communities. And all we can say really is thank you.
We got that joint task force here with Orlando and Orange County and Seminole County that I met up with them during Michael up in the Panhandle a couple of years ago. So, you know, we always have these crews, and it's good when people come from other communities because the call has been put out there. All right, we also need to tell you about this. World Central Kitchen is offering some relief teams that pre-positioned around the state of Florida. They're working to assist in other areas that are also impacted by this storm to help just simply feed people after it comes through, because the biggest issue could be for electricity and people not having the ability to feed themselves. So we have more updates on where these locations may be set up as the storm rolls past us.
All right, this is important too. So power outages, of course, expected as Milton moves over Central Florida. We're already seeing some in several of our counties. If you can't watch us on TV, WESH 2 will be simulcasting on the radio. That started at 7 o'clock about 15 minutes ago. So you can listen in on Magic 107.7 FM. You can also listen on the iHeartRadio app by tuning into 107.7. WESH 2's continuous coverage will also be streaming on the very local app on your phone, so you can stay connected with us and stay informed.
Power outages during and after the storm could also disrupt your cell service. That's why Starlink is activating its direct-to-cell satellites to help keep you connected. During the storm, T-Mobile phones will be able to connect to the T-Mobile SpaceX network. You'll get a 1 to 2 bars of signal, enough to still be able to send and receive text messages. In the event of an emergency, you can also text 911 and receive emergency alerts.
All right, remember when we were telling you to stay off the roads by 2? Okay, here's why. We were monitoring our highways during the 4 p.m. hour. Yep, and you see it right there. This happened. That's a truck that just spun out of control on the beach line. It ended up crashing into the guardrails you saw there, then it spun back onto the beach line. This was around 4:30 this afternoon. We actually ended up seeing the driver get out of the car, so it appeared that that person was okay. But again, just speaks volumes about why we repeat it over and over again to stay off the roads after a certain time.
And this was the same amount of time that we were following all those tornado warnings in that exact area. So he could have been involved in one of those high-level winds. And as we mentioned, the several tornado warnings were issued this afternoon across Central Florida.
WESH 2's Tony Atkins is live now in the First Warning Weather Lab. He's actually in Cocoa Beach. Tony, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, we just were allowed in a few moments ago by the cops. They had a really large perimeter because power lines are down in this area where these, strong winds really had a significant impact. I do want to show you some of the damage here live. This is a wide shot of it, but let's get in closer here. We're looking at the urgent care, and you can see a number of those emergency vehicles. But right here at this point, this is a Supercuts location with significant damage. You can see just how much damage has been done to the windows, to the interior. And also, if we could just go off to the left here, you can see a fire truck right there. That's the only light that you're seeing in this area here on Cocoa Beach, because it's so dark. The power lines have been down. Police, they did allow us through, but they're not letting us off of this parking lot, which is like a plaza, because they are still working to get the power situation under control in the area. But again, just significant damage. We were hearing this on the scanner as we were over in Merritt Island, and earlier when I was in Merritt Island, or coming over the causeway, that's when we got the alert about the warning for this tornado. So just a really scary situation. And then to, watch it pass and then come over finally to see the amount of damage. Just really significant, striking images here. And this is just one location. So once the power line situation is under control, the road's going to reopen safely. And then we will be able to see damage to other businesses here in the area. But again, this is just one location. with some serious damage here. So we're going to stay on top of the weather situation as it develops here in Brevard County. But again, this is just one building. We're going to move around, hopefully get some shots and show you some more damage. But again, tornado warning in this area left behind some pretty serious damage here.
Tony Atkins there with that really eye-opening report from Brevard County that serves as another reminder of the scope of this thing. We are talking about damage already in Cocoa Beach from a storm that's coming in through our west coast.
And not even on the west coast yet.
And it's not even there yet. And Cam, you have a staggering number in terms of the tornado issues that we had today.
A lot of tornado warnings today, not just in our area, but across South Florida and even the Tampa Bay area. The count as of right now, 98 tornado warnings, and 9 of those were confirmed tornadoes. And that number may go up because, again, we're still in the thick of the storm, and so it's not safe likely for the crews to go out and analyze some of this yet. Right. So that I'm expecting the number of confirmed tornadoes to likely go up, especially by daybreak tomorrow, Marquise.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see that landfall within the next few hours, but we'll still have a couple pieces of energy from Milton making its way on shore that can potentially cause some spin-ups. I know Tony was saying, I was trying to go live, but we just had warning after warning after warning. It felt like from 3 o'clock until 7:30. We had nonstop warnings here.
Yeah, and for folks watching at home, that's how we do this. If there's a warning, we have our meteorologists on the air to keep you safe. And so our crews on the field have to wait to show you like the pictures because safety's first.
Because yes, the tornado warnings are imminent because of course there could be literally a tornado on the ground moving through some areas right now. Thankfully, that's not the case right now. I want to get you the latest on the 7 o'clock advisory with Milton. Now, you can see winds as of the moment coming out, moving to the northeast at 15 miles per hour, winds 120 miles per hour. Pressure down to 952. And here's a look at the latest path. Again, expected to make landfall fairly soon. Here's a look. We are expecting this to still maintain its intensity as a Category 3 hurricane as it makes landfall and then moves right over central Florida, at least the southern portions of our area as we go into the overnight hours, and then weaken as it crosses the peninsula, and you can see become a tropical storm as it enters the Atlantic. Now, one of the reasons why this is expected to weaken a little further as we go into the overnight hours is this dry air that's starting to eat away at its southwestern periphery, but it can't eat it away enough because it's still going to be a major hurricane at landfall. And speaking of landfall, taking a look at the ruler here. So the landfall is technically when the center of the eye moves over to land, not the eye wall. And so taking a look at the center of the eye, which is right now about 29 miles per hour southwest of Sarasota. Based on that, this is expected to make landfall just a little bit after 9 o'clock our time here. So we are watching for landfall anywhere between 8:30 to about 9 o'clock, 9:15 our time. We are seeing wide swath of rain already with this. Some areas have easily picked up a half a foot of rain. Look at this. Drenching downpours from Daytona Beach to DeLand, the Villages, Leesburg, Bushnell, Sanford, Titusville. Some areas have picked up 7 inches of rainfall, and it continues to pour across our area. By the time this is all said and done, some areas will easily pick up a foot of rainfall. And look at this, we have a flash flood warning in effect for the Orlando metro, including Brevard, Orange, Seminole, Volusia counties, affecting 1.8 million people. And that's because well over 3 to 6 inches of rain have fallen in these counties, and we could see an additional half a foot before it's said and done. We also have a flood warning in effect for Polk County as well. All the areas that you see in the green polygon are all areas that are currently under some flood advisory. And unfortunately, we'll continue to see this rain as we go through tonight into the overnight hours, bring us drenching downpours. And then finally, this system is expected to move off to the east offshore, finally bring us some improvement. But up until then, though, Marquise, we are going to see things continue to go downhill.
Yeah, especially closer to where we're expecting that landfall, right? We actually have an extreme wind warning in place, and the winds rushing on shore, well, they're coming from the center of Helene. These could be gusts up to 120 miles, and this is the area that's going to have the most significant storm surge because of those winds blowing all that water across the coastline. Storm surge here, that could be anywhere between 10, maybe even 15 feet, which does create quite a dangerous situation across that Tampa Bay area. So between now and 9:30, we'll carry that that extreme wind warning, and that's around the same time that Milton should be making landfall later tonight is what we're expecting here. So we're going to keep an eye on what's going on across our west coast, but even inland, we've got our own impacts that we'll be dealing with, such as the stronger rain showers that will be returning to central Florida. Also, multiple power outages widespread across the region. And then on top of that, on the back end of Milton, we have the chance to see some stronger storm surge as well. So all impacts are on the table, but let's take a look at what we could see happening right now. We've got a little bit of dry air coming in here, but don't get too comfortable, right? The rain may stop for an hour or two, but we'll have another band, another piece of energy from Milton returning to the region, and that'll increase your chance for some showers coming up momentarily. So I know it's dry. I know you're looking out the window. You're saying, hey, the rain has come to an end, but that is not necessarily the case, unfortunately. Here's the rain that will be heading our direction, coming in from the south and the west, likely within the next hour or so after Milton does make landfall. So here's a look at the timeline for tonight. Hurricane Milton likely making landfall within the next 2 hours. Overnight, though, we'll see those conditions begin to ramp up. So around 11 o'clock, that's when we see the wind speeds start to rush in across the I-4 corridor. And here is a look at it frame by frame as we take you over time with our future cast. We see those gustier winds across Winter Haven, 52 miles per hour, now into Claremont, 60 mile per hour speeds. Here's Milton coming on shore, gusting over hurricane force winds in parts of Polk County, which is where we're going to see some of the fastest moving wind speeds tonight. And then we see that center of rotation pushing towards the north and the east early out the door on Thursday morning. It's going to take the precipitation along with it, but you see along the coastline, we're still going to have those tropical storm force winds throughout the day on Thursday, which is why we're watching out for that storm surge here in central Florida. We actually have storm surge warnings across Flagler, Volusia, and Brevard counties all throughout the day on Thursday, and we could tack on quite a bit of rain alongside that. 2 hour north into Volusia County, we could see 7 to 10 plus inches of precipitation still on the way. Keep in mind, we're in that northern profile of Milton, and that's the area that sees the most significant rain with this particular storm. So we're watching out for the showers all throughout the rest of the evening. But tomorrow it's going to be a wind event along the coast, not only just increasing the gusty conditions, but also increasing the storm surge as we move throughout the day on Thursday. And then we gradually start to clear out on Friday and Saturday as temperatures mellow out into the mid 80s.
Marquise and Cam, thank you. We got some new video that's just been posted on social media by the astronauts up at the International Space Station. This is from astronaut Matthew Dominic. He posted this video this morning. He says the storm looks even bigger but less symmetric than it was yesterday. We've seen that as the storm has weakened, that wind field's actually expanded, impacting even more Floridians.
His videos have been incredible. You
Yes.
should follow him on social media. All right, this is pretty cool, too. It's a feat of island ingenuity born out of decades of experience with hurricanes. A man originally from Puerto Rico brings his unique storm prep idea to Orlando.
Brian Abel introduces us to Pedro and his mission to keep his home safe through Milton.
Straps and hooks. Pedro Casares showing us his unconventional approach to keeping his Orlando home intact through Hurricane Milton.
Preparing my house for the hurricane. Right now, as you can see, the hooks on the floor, they're 8 feet deep of cement. They have rods in between, and it's to hold the friction of the roof from lifting.
His daughter explains the unique idea was born from experience more than 2 decades ago while Pedro and his family lived in Puerto Rico.
We had a hurricane that we went through, and the back of our roof lifted a little bit. It was aluminum.
Now, roughly $2,000 in for the cement, anchors, and made-to-order straps from Idaho that cover the front, back, and sides of the home.
They hold about 5,400 pounds of weight and wind, so yeah, we're giving it a test.
They're hoping it's enough to withstand Milton.
Definitely just stay tuned for the aftermath. We shall see.
In Orlando, Brian Abel reporting.
Remember, humans are not the only ones dealing with Milton, so are the wild animals.
So viewer Rob Willets just sent us this picture of a bear paying a visit to his home on Okaloosa Trail. What a picture there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And if you look toward the top left corner of the picture, you maybe saw a reflection there. I think we lost the picture. What was that? We saw, okay, there it is. Okay, so there, I see it now. I see it up on the top left.
That's our own Tony Manalfi on the air.
It's like one of those puzzles where you have to stare really hard and squint your eyes.
So the bear was looking through the door to try to watch Tony. That's exactly what happened here. So yeah, Central Florida. Bears are choosing to watch the WESH weather team.
They needed an update, and there you go.
There you go. We need a light moment every now and then, so there you go.
It's 7:30. Our coverage continues now.
You're watching continuing coverage of Milton from WESH 2.
That wind is screaming. Oh, yeah.
Video now in from Osceola County during the tornado warning, one of many that we saw today. This is shot by Tim Barton in the Deer Park area. He's on the side of the road when he starts rolling in what he believes is a tornado approaching, and you can see from the trees that are just laying on their sides, the winds are certainly strong in this area.
Yeah, we were tracking that here on the air as that was moving in. And Cam, now you have some staggering numbers about the tornado activity that we were seeing around our state earlier.
Almost 100 tornado warnings just for Milton alone. That is between us, the Tampa office, as well as Miami. I mean, at one point, literally all of South Florida, which is covered with these red boxes indicating tornado warnings. And since this afternoon, we've been busy with warnings, and hopefully that's it for the night. But out of those 98 tornado warnings, 10% of them verified as confirmed. And I expect that number to actually go up because, again, survey crews have not gotten a chance to go out and analyze it. I mean, we're in the thick of the storm. So let's hope those numbers don't continue to go up, Marquise. Although right now we're getting, I don't even want to say it, but we're tracking a couple cells offshore, but nothing active right now in our area.
Thankfully, yes, that's the case. But what's onshore could potentially make its way closer to us. I know that Milton's moving at right around 15 miles per hour. So we're anticipating that landfall within the next 2 hours across that Tampa Bay, Sarasota area coming up.
I would say just after 9 o'clock is when we're anticipating that landfall. But here's a look at the latest with the 7 o'clock advisory. Marquise is actually going to have a look at the county by county graphics in just a second. I'm going to give you the latest update on what's happening right now. So here's a look at Milton. A powerful Cat 3 hurricane still with winds of 120 miles per hour moving northeast at 15, pressure at 952 millibar. And so at this rate, we are expecting landfall just after 9 o'clock this evening. Still expected to move right over Central Florida, especially our far southern counties. That center circulation is expected to move over Polk as well as southern Polk County and Osceola County as well. It could graze the southern portions of Orange County as well. Landfall looks to be either just south of Tampa Bay or near the Sarasota area at this moment, and then it crosses the peninsula and weakens into a tropical storm. Here's a look at our live radar. So I put the ruler here. So landfall is technically by definition when the center of the eye moves over land, not the eye wall itself, but the actual center. And with this is about 29 miles offshore of Sarasota. Based on the forward motion of the storm, this is expected to make landfall right around 9:15 this evening. But look at all the rain already we've been seeing up ahead of it. A large, heavy rain swath right over DeLand, New Smyrna Beach, the Villages, Bushnell, Leesburg, right now Claremont, downtown Orlando, even out towards Brevard County. So we have flash flood warnings in effect, and that means there is literally a chance that if we get any more rain, we could see high rivers or high roads, water on the roads, like what we saw in Tony's live shot earlier, actually. And we are seeing that over Brevard, Orange, Seminole, and Volusia counties. Look at the staggering number of people this flash flood warning affects. 1.8 million folks right now currently under that flash flood warning. I wanted to take the radar off of it just to show you just how much real estate that flash flood warning encompasses. It's basically the entire Orlando metro is under that flash flood warning. Down to the south, we also have flood warnings in Polk, and we are going to see additional rainfall. Look at futurecast as we go into late tonight in the overnight hours. 2 a.m., another swath of heavy rain moves through. Finally, we really don't get a break in the rainfall until we get into about midday tomorrow, Marquise.
Yeah, it's going to be a while between then and now. A long night for us here in Central Florida. But I'll give you guys another look at the radar. And here's the signatures that Cam was talking about offshore, moving towards the north and the west. And if we get some more turning going on before Milton does make landfall, that could potentially head our direction overnight. We're still about 2 hours away from landfall. but nevertheless, we've seen quite a bit of rain due to Milton so far. Some of the heaviest hit communities include Brevard County, in which we've seen the rain stack up upwards of 7+ inches. So quite a great deal of precipitation did head our direction. But as we take a closer look now, there we go. Looks like 2 inches in Cocoa Beach, where we see the shade of red that's likely going to be upwards of 5 inches. Kissimmee 6.2, just outside the metro into Bithlo across 528. 5.5 inches of precipitation so far. And as we head further north, well, here's where the rain is going, that direction towards the north and the west into DeLand, 4.9 inches, Titusville, 5.5. So the rain has come down in bunches, and we're not quite done yet. So we can see 4 to 10 more inches of precipitation before Milton is said and done across our easternmost communities. But there's another impact that you have to watch out for, and that's going to be the storm surge. Milton's going to make its way across the I-4 corridor and then eventually dip into the Atlantic tomorrow morning. And then on the backside of Milton, we'll still have possible Category 1 force winds, and that's what's going to increase the storm surge as we move across our easternmost counties. And one last area that we're going to look at is just out towards I-75, some of the fastest winds and rain. We'll take you county by county, take a look at some more impacts coming up in the next 15 minutes, but let's send it back to the desk.
Marquise, thank you. We've been watching and waiting. The governor, I think, is now about to approach the podium.
We also saw it sped up, which means it's hitting the Gulf Coast prior to high tide, which we hope will help mitigate some of the storm surge. You see it already developing, and there's going to continue to be storm surge both on the west coast and eventually on the east coast of Florida. And we're going to see a significant amount of rainfall on the northern part of the storm. There's already been 116 tornado warnings with 19 confirmed touchdowns throughout the state, 9 flash flood warnings, and 4 additional flood watches, with many, many more to come. Numerous counties have reported tornado damage. Peak storm surge is predicted to be between 5 and 13 feet, depending on where you are on the Gulf Coast of Florida. As of right now, the peak storm surge looks to be between the Charlotte-Lee County line up until Anna Maria Island in Manatee County. Prior to landfall, the state completed nearly 2,000 missions. Generators were sent to shelters. We have massive amounts of fuel reserves that are staged and ready to go, millions of gallons of gas. When the ports reopen, Florida Highway Patrol will be standing by to escort fuel trucks to service stations so that people will have access to fuel as they return to their homes. The Florida Department of Transportation is staged and ready to go as soon as the storm passes. They have 156 bridge inspectors, which will go to clear the bridges, 402 cut and toss personnel, and over 1,000 generators and 350 pieces of heavy equipment and trucks. We have massive amounts of search and rescue equipment and personnel standing by. And we hope that there's not a big need for that, but we're prepared for that. And that's not just our state and local. It's also our National Guard, our State Guard. We have about 9,000 National Guard personnel between Florida and other states. We also have Florida Highway Patrol, Fish and Wildlife, Department of Law Enforcement, and of course our Florida State Guard. There was a lot of questions about pre-staging linemen, which is our practice here in Florida, given that you have a lot of linemen working for Hurricane Helene in places like Georgia and North Carolina. I'm happy to report that we have over 50,000 linemen that are in the state of Florida, and as soon as it's safe to do so, they will commence with power restoration. We're already seeing power outages. You're going to continue to see a lot more power outages over the course of tonight and into tomorrow morning. Now, at this point, it's too dangerous to evacuate safely, so you have to shelter in place and just hunker down. Category 3 storm for most places in Florida, particularly newer construction. Likely the building is going to be able to withstand it. But if you start to get in a situation where trees are snapping, power's popping, you do have to treat it like a tornado. And then if you are in a tornado warning, that's a duck and cover in a place that's safe in your structure. Those can be very, very dangerous, even if you are inside in cover. Stay inside and stay off the roads. Floodwaters and rushing storm surge are very dangerous. And I would say that's even more so in spite of everything the state did to help these local communities hit by Helene remove a lot of debris, and they did move a lot of debris over the last 72 hours. You're going to have new debris created, and you still have some of that old debris in some of those places. So there's going to be hazards in the storm surge and in the flood waters. Stay put until the storm is passed. If you are in Sarasota, Manatee, some of those areas where the eye of the storm is going, it may be where things calm down for a minute. Just understand that means you're in the eye. It's going to go back and get really nasty very soon. So don't go outdoors until it is confirmed safe. You can listen to your local emergency management officials about that one. Power outages are going to happen, as I mentioned. So please, if you're using a generator, make sure that you're using it safely. Do not run the generator inside your home. That can be fatal. Make sure it's outside the home at a safe distance from windows and doorways. If you see dangerous conditions, please report those to your local authorities so that they can help protect people and mitigate it. So the storm is here. It's time for everybody to hunker down. I know we've got massive amounts of resources that have been prepared for this storm. People are tired because of having to deal with Hurricane Helene, and yet all I've seen is people just dig deep inside and say, we're not going to be denied, we're going to get the job done. So I really appreciate everybody that's worked so hard on the heels of Helene to prepare for this storm and to be ready to go. And you will see that in action very shortly as this storm passes. Okay, Kevin Guthrie.
Thank you, Governor, for leading us through this. Appreciate your support. Conditions across the state continue to deteriorate as Hurricane Milton approaches landfall on Florida's. No more Michael. No, sir. No, sir. As Hurricane Milton approaches landfall on Florida's west coast, many areas are already experiencing life-threatening storm surge or life-threatening tornadoes. Please make sure if a tornado warning comes in, especially on our east coast of Florida, we have certainly had a lot of tornadic activity over there with confirmed radar signature, confirmed tornadoes. We do have Virginia Task Force 1, Ohio Task Force 1, and Miami Task Force 1 going into those areas to help with those structural collapses that have happened. We're receiving somewhere in the neighborhood, this is really, really rough numbers right now, but about 125 homes that have been destroyed, most of them mobile homes in senior communities. So we're trying to get into Florida's most vulnerable to make sure they're taken care of. If you have not already left, as I just said, as the governor just said, you need to stay inside, stay safe, and stay put. Make sure that you're getting to a central area of your home, that you're getting as low as you possibly can. That is, if you have a single-story residence and no storm surge, you want to get as low as you possibly can. I had this question asked to me earlier. Do I go to the bottom of the house if I got storm surge? The answer is no. If you've got 2 floors, you need to go to the lowest part of the 2nd floor to escape the storm surge. Please do not. If you have storm surge coming in, please just do not go to the lowest level of your home. Do not attempt to leave your home or drive during the storm. Roads may be flooded, blocked by debris, or have down power lines. Please do not risk it. If you hear, as the governor said, if you hear trees snapping, that means that there is going to be flying debris. You should seek shelter immediately and treat it as if it's a tornado. Protect yourself from flying debris by putting household items such as pillows, heavy coats, blankets on top of you. There may be a point where you think the storm is over. If it goes from absolutely horrible and terrible to absolutely nothing, then you are most likely in the eye of the tornado. Please stay in place. Do not come out. We are anticipating power outages, as the governor's already mentioned, with this storm. Take time now, if you still have power, to keep those electronic devices plugged in and keep the charge full. If you lose power and are going to use a generator for backup power, please use it safely. You've heard the governor and myself say this. Keep it 20 feet away from the doors and windows of your home. Make sure you wait 20 minutes for it to cool down before you refuel it. Make sure it's on a clean, dry surface. And then be sure to have a carbon monoxide monitor in your home. After the storm has passed your area, it is critical that you listen to local authorities for guidance on when it is safe to go outside or to return home. Do not venture out. Hazardous materials, debris, and flooding could still be present. Do not attempt to clean up the debris by yourself, especially fallen trees or power lines. If you see a dangerous condition, please report them to your local authorities utilizing your 911 lines or non-emergency lines. Residents needing information can continue to call our State Assistance Information Line, which will be open for most likely weeks. That number is 1-800-342-3557. That's 1-800-342-3557. Please follow the agency on X and Instagram at FLSERT and on Facebook at FDEM. That is the best way to go and catch up on latest up-to-date information from the division. If you do not have access to that, but you have access to the internet, please make sure you go to floridadisaster.org/updates. Floridians, we are with you. We will be with you. The state of Florida is leading the way on this charge. Please know that we're coming as fast as we possibly can. There's going to be places that we just cannot get to until the winds die down. But as I've already mentioned, there are strong winds. There are banding rains. But we have the men and women of Florida Task Force 1 out of Miami-Dade, as well as members from the Ohio and Virginia Task Force going into harm's way to help you out. We will continue to do that all night long. I will be here throughout the night along with my team. Governor, it's been a pleasure working with you to this point, but I also want to say thank you for your leadership, and I know that you're not going to go anywhere anytime soon, and I appreciate your leadership. Thank you, sir.
So we are staged with massive amounts of search and rescue assets, not just with the cities and counties and their considerable resources, all the state assets for our state agencies and National Guard, as well as urban search and rescue teams. And so we will be ready to help people who are in harm's way, and hopefully we don't have a lot. I know a lot of people did heed the call to leave, but that will be a priority to save lives. We also have a record number of people there for the restoration of power. These linemen, people love seeing the linemen coming in on the interstate. It's a great sight. They will get to work, get their power resumed as quick as possible. And then we have massive amounts of fuel on standby that we can use, but we also want to make sure these ports get up and running. I mean, we'll see what the damage is to Manatee and to Tampa. We have been discussing, and Kevin and his team have been discussing with our federal partners like the Army Corps and some of these agencies, some expectations about getting these ports back. And I think there's a difference between kind of Florida expectations, which is like we get this stuff done quick, and maybe how the federal bureaucracies have typically worked. But I think that we have had very good conversations. I think there is a sense of urgency with some of the federal agencies as well. But we want to get these ports back open as quickly as possible. We're going to have to assess some damage. Now, the track of this storm, the fact that it is Sarasota, perhaps the Port of Tampa is not going to take a major hit like it would have if it was a direct impact, but we'll see. Manatee is probably going to be a little bit closer to where it's getting some of the big impact, but we think it's really important that all services are be able to resume, and we have contingencies to be able to get fuel in where it needs to go, but it'd sure be a lot easier if we just get that coming into the ports. And so those are all going to be priorities from here on out. So if you are watching this, just hunker down. If you're in the path of this storm, it's dangerous outside. There's going to be a lot of hazards. Even when it passes, if there's floodwaters, be very careful about any of that. Help is on the way. We're going to get everyone back, get everyone up on their feet again, and we'll mitigate the damage as best we can.
The president said that he has spoken with you. Have you talked about getting more resources from the federal government here in the state, getting things back open?
So as I mentioned, we've been discussing with some of the federal partners about acceleration of what needs to be done if something needs to be done on these ports. To say like, oh, it's going to be weeks for a port, no, that doesn't work. Okay, we got to get it open. And I think they're of the same mind, and I think that Kevin and our team have had good conversations. We've also, Kevin, I know, is talking, both Kevin and I talk with the FEMA administrator about some of the things that we're looking for. For example, with this debris. Let local governments do the debris a little bit differently so that we incentivize people to come and do it quickly. Because the way it goes now, it was hard to even get people to do their debris. You had them going other ways. It just didn't make economic sense for doing that. And a lot of the debris takes like 6 months to do, and that's just kind of been the standard. I think we showed by surging our resources, which is really unprecedented, we knocked out a lot of debris in like 72 hours. So we want to have a debris where there's incentives to do it and do it quickly. I don't want to have to even talk about this now, but we're not out of hurricane season. There is the possibility of another storm brewing, and that's going to come into the Gulf. It's possible. I hope it doesn't happen. But so we want to be able to have them with contractors and have them have things working with the FEMA reimbursements that makes sense. And I think Kevin, I think Administrator Criswell has been very receptive to that, because it does. It just makes sense.
Governor, Director Guthrie, in terms of the timeline of recovery, and last time with Helene, you were able to get search and rescue units kind of out there before, if I remember correctly, before the sun even came up.
That'll happen again. Yes. So, yeah, they will do in the dark. That is totally, absolutely fine. It's just a question of making sure that it's safe for them to go out. So as soon as that storm passes, and the fact that it came in earlier than thought, that's good for the high tide, because the high tide's not here yet. I think it'll help with the surge. But it's going to mean pretty much all the rescues are going to be done in the dark in the middle of the night. But that's fine. They're going to do that. All of our folks are doing that, and they will be on target.
Since you have so many people here in the state, more than previous storms, are you expecting things to kind of be restored quicker than previous storms? Like Helene was power back within a week. Are we expecting that even sooner, 3 days, 5 days?
Well, we need to figure out how much power is out. I mean, we just don't know, right? And so we'll see. But I thought, we didn't get hit with Dorian, but it was coming, so we prepared. I thought maybe we had reached 50 with Dorian. We didn't. We reached in the 40s. We did 40,000s for Ian in the 40s. This is the first time we've crossed 50, and so I think that that's good. I think there's a lot of people that are excited about going to work. I know Floridians really appreciate these guys when they get out there. And if you look, the fact that it's going Sarasota across, that's heavy Florida Power and Light territory. Those guys are a well-oiled machine at this. They do a really good job. A lot of their infrastructure handles the storms very well. And so a lot of times when you're talking about power restoration, if you have the people there and you go quick, you can potentially reconnect relatively quickly. If the whole thing is blown out where you have to rebuild it, it takes longer. My sense is that if it's a lot of FPL stuff, their infrastructure probably going to be able to weather a lot of this, so they'll have to do some reconnects, but maybe not a full rebuild. Fort Myers Beach for Hurricane Ian was FPL, and they honestly, they could have gotten the power back on very quickly. It was too dangerous to hook it up because of the homes with the storm surge, but their substations actually did pretty good. So I think it remains to be seen with that. Now, in terms of the search and rescue personnel, I'd like nothing better than to be here tomorrow night telling you we're sending all of it back to the states. I would love that, to say, you know what, we did whatever we needed to do, just like Helene, and then 24 hours later, it was fine. Thank you, and you guys go back home. We would love to do that. I'm hoping that we're not going to need them to be long, but it's just going to depend on what the damage is. So we'll see. I mean, look, these storms, it's like how many, what population, how many people, how much infrastructure, and this thing has come up. It kind of went east into Sarasota County. I don't know where they're going to say the landfall was. Maybe Venice, from what I'm looking on the radar. Maybe middle Sarasota County. But if it cuts across from there, there's a lot of rural areas. Whereas if it would have gone into Tampa Bay and rode up I-4, that's like millions and millions of people. I do think north of the storm, there's a lot of precipitation. I think you're going to see inland flooding in central Florida, north central Florida. I think you're going to see storm surge in northeast Florida, places like Daytona Beach, Flagler Beach, St. Johns County. I think you will see that coming on the backside of the storm. So we'll see how all that shakes out. But bottom line is we have the resources amassed. We'll use all that we need. But yes, I hope I can just send a bunch of them home to say, we got the job done.
And FHP posted a video earlier today of a dog chained to a fence. They went and rescued it. Do you know what's happening with that dog?
I mean, first of all, what kind of an animal would just leave a dog chained to a pole in the middle of a hurricane? I mean, it's just unbelievable that somebody would do that. And so I'm thankful for the FHP folks out of Tampa for rescuing the dog. They did bring it to the vet. The dog has a clean bill of health. And who knows, maybe we'll do some adoption, put the dog up for adoption, and we can have some people in Florida come and compete for it and take it. But, it's just like, I mean, people do a lot of dumb things, but you just see that. And so I hope they find the person who did it, and that person should have the book thrown at him. We've got very good laws in Florida against animal cruelty. You know, these dogs, we've got dogs that are going to be helping in the storm. These police working dogs, they're great canines. So we don't have tolerance for that in Florida. I thought it was outrageous that somebody would do that.
Can you talk about the size of the storm and what people should expect from the wind fields, how wide the eye is, or anything like that as it comes on shore?
So it's interesting. I think the storm did deteriorate because of the wind shear. I mean, we were here, 24 hours ago, and it was 180 miles an hour. And no one thought it was going to come ashore at that. But I think a lot of people thought it was going to come ashore as a pretty strong 4. And it ended up coming as basically a mid-level 3. Now, it doesn't mean there's not storm surge. It doesn't mean there's not hazards. There is. It's a serious, serious storm. But in terms of some of the damage that we're going to see from wind, there just is a big difference between 140, 150, and 120. We saw it with Hurricane Ian, which was basically a Category 5. I think it may have landed just a tick below. Of course, we saw it with Hurricane Michael, which was a Category 5. As you get into the 120 range, 115 range, still hazardous, can still do a lot of damage. But Florida buildings in particular, new ones, they're going to be able to withstand that for sure. And so I think that likely, look, I'm cautiously optimistic that with the Florida building code that you're going to do. Now, the storm surge is a different story, and we've had storms that, Hurricane Michael was not necessarily known for being massive storm surge, even though it was like a tornado and it obliterated so many structures. And then there have been other storms that have been Cat 3 that produced massive storm surge. So I think it's too early to tell on that, but I think the fact that whether it was the shear or whatever happened, the fact that it did weaken before it made landfall is going to be benefit to us compared to what we were looking at 24 hours ago. But regardless of the winds from the storm directly, we've already seen probably more tornado watches than I've ever seen. I was talking to people, do you ever remember? No one remembers ever seeing this many tornado warnings that have been done. So that spun off a lot of tornadoes. And you have them, it's not like, there was Fort Myers, but there was Palm Beach, there was Port St. Lucie. I mean, it was all over the state. So that is a hazard for sure, and I think we're likely to continue to see those throughout tonight.
Have you seen the tornadoes about the incentives for debris removal crews to get more of them coming in here?
So as the governor said, he and I had a conversation today with Deanne Criswell. She's actually coming in here tonight at some point in time when weather permits to be with us tomorrow, but. I will say she said that we were on the right track. She felt like that was a very good idea to get some type of incentive for individuals to come here. Maybe, again, incentivizing people from maybe west of the Mississippi, west of the Ohio River, so we're not competing against people that are in North Carolina. But again, we talked about some potential opportunities there, and she was going to get her some of her senior directors to come in, and one of them, Robert Pesapane, who is actually over that entire program, is actually traveling from D.C. tonight as well to actually sit down and have a conversation with us so that we could all get to a situation where we think the best move forward, we can take that best move forward. However, as the governor also alluded to, there's I think a parallel path, and you know that we don't do bureaucracy, we don't go in linear paths, we don't throw all of our eggs in one basket. We are talking about reaching out for Emergency Management Assistance Compact, EMAC, or mutual aid through other states to start bringing in some other DOT-like, public works-like individuals to help us with mutual aid. Again, we don't know what might happen in the next 10 to 15 days. We want to get some of this debris picked up again. We've shown how government sometimes, unfortunately, usually private sector is better than us, but we've shown them that we can get this stuff done, and we can get it done quickly if we cut through the bureaucracy. So we're going to look at the incentive-ish program, and we're going to also look at bringing in mutual aid from other states.
Well, I mean, the thing is there could be another storm this season, but the debris, I mean, the standard practice with this debris, the way it works, is it takes months and months to do debris.
You're watching continuing coverage of Milton from WESH 2.
Now at 8, widespread damage from Hurricane Milton. The president offering the federal government's full support.
We've already directed the Department of Defense to be ready to provide active duty service members to support Florida.
WESH 2 has reporters stationed across Central Florida, including on the Gulf Coast.
This is also going to be a rainmaker as Milton continues to drop rain on us here in Tampa.
We'll stay on the air with no commercial breaks until the storm passes. Hello, everyone. Just shy of 8 o'clock on this Wednesday evening. Of course, we are tracking Hurricane Milton. We were just hearing from a press conference from Governor Ron DeSantis, Florida Division of Emergency Management Executive Director Kevin Guthrie, detailing a bit of how everything stands right now. Of course, if you look out the window, you'll see what they were talking about. We're in the middle of it. Now is not the time to be moving. This is what we've been preparing for. Again, just shy of 8 o'clock on this Wednesday evening.
So, guys, the main takeaways that I'm hearing from everyone across the area is life-threatening storm surge, life-threatening tornadoes, life-threatening flooding. We just got the 8 p.m. advisory. How is this storm looking right now, Cam?
It's still a major hurricane, and it's about to make landfall fairly soon. I would say in the next hour to hour and a half. It's about 20 miles south of Sarasota right now, so we are expecting landfall again a little after 9 o'clock this evening. And unfortunately, it is still a Category 3 hurricane with winds sustained of 120 miles per hour, moving east-northeast at 15. Pressure still at 954. So in terms of the logistics itself, nothing's really changed there. But again, this is expected to make landfall soon. If we can get WSI 2 behind me here, that's a look at the latest imagery with Milton. We are expecting it to make landfall and then move over the Tampa Bay area as we go into tonight. So here's a look at the latest satellite imagery with Milton here. It's going to make landfall just south of Tampa Bay, then cross over Central Florida and then weaken as it does so, emerging out towards the Atlantic side as a tropical storm. Here's a look at all the storm reports we've seen so far today from Milton, and the majority of those have either been flooding or actually tornado threats. So we've had a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and I want to hone in here over in Brevard County. We got reports of a tornado likely, meaning it hasn't been confirmed yet by the National Weather Service, but there was some damage reported of a roof being ripped off a Wells Fargo building near US 1 and Banana River Boulevard in Cocoa Beach, and there was a tornado warning around that time frame. So again, none of this has been confirmed by National Weather Service because they need to get out and actually look at it, and right now this is just a mess right now. We're in the thick of things. Here's a look at the eye wall. It's the northern periphery of the eye wall is about to interact and move over land, but landfall is when the center of the eye, not the eye wall itself, moves over land. So we still have about an hour before that happens here. So the center circulation is still offshore. We're seeing very heavy bands of rain all over Central Florida this evening. In fact, so much rain has fallen that basically the entire Orlando metro, Brevard, Orange, Seminole, and Volusia County, all under a flash flood warning right now, meaning flooding is either happening right now or is imminent. And not just for us, that affects 1.8 million people. But look at this, even all across Hillsborough, Pasco, Pinellas, and Polk County under a flash flood warning as well, affecting over 2 million people. So we have flooding that is likely happening right now in our area. And unfortunately, we are expecting even more rain on the way. And we also have an extreme wind warning, Marquise.
Yes, this is extreme wind warning. Yeah, it just means that across the Tampa region, Ruskin as well, that's where we see these breezy conditions rushing on shore. And you're wondering what speed these winds are? Well, they're just as fast as the center of circulation around Milton. So these could be up to 120 miles per hour across I-75. And what those winds are bringing in, they're not just gusty conditions. It's the storm surge that they're bringing in. And that could be a very devastating detail. That storm surge could possibly rise anywhere between 10 and 15 feet. And oftentimes it's the storm surge that's the most deadly impact for any severe weather events. So in regards to Milton so far, what we've seen across our neck of the woods, right? That includes the National Weather Service offices from Melbourne, Tampa, also Miami. We've seen 98 tornado warnings so far. There could be possibly more across the state of Florida to our north and to our south, but 98 is the number that we have. And 9 of these have been confirmed tornadoes 41 of them have come from the National Weather Service in Melbourne. So we've had a lot of them across the coast as well. We'll take you out towards the coast as we go county by county right now. And one of the bigger impacts that we'll have to worry about not just today, but also throughout the day tomorrow is going to be the storm surge. Milton's going to come on shore and almost ride parallel to the I-4 corridor before exiting off into the Atlantic. And with that being said, what it's going to do on the back end is kick up those Category 1 force winds most likely and increase the storm surge for our Atlantic communities. So that's just another impact that you'll have to worry about after the rainfall does subside. Before that ends, though, we could possibly see 4 to 10 more inches of rain across I-95 out to our east. Heading out towards the west across the counties of Marion, Sumter, and Lake. Some of the bigger details that we're worried about tonight and throughout the morning tomorrow will be the rain. In fact, this is where the heaviest rain showers are likely going to stack up. Certain locations could possibly see 12 plus inches of precipitation. But for counties like Lake and Sumter, you're going to be close to that eye making its way on shore, so you'll be breezy as well. Those gusts could possibly be upwards of 85 miles per hour. And as we go through our last few counties here and towards the center, here's where we have the fastest and strongest wind threat. You'll be much closer to the eye. Gusts could be possibly 80 to 90 miles per hour, but you'll also see about 4 to 8 inches of rain. So it's the strongest wind threat closer to the eye. But as you move away from it to our northernmost communities, that's where we see the heaviest rain likely going to stack up tonight and through the early morning hours tomorrow. So as we take you through the timeline, Milton is going to make landfall likely within the next hour coming up. Around that 9 o'clock hours when the center of circulation comes on shore. Overnight, though, those hurricane conditions continue with strong, gusty, breezy winds here all widespread across central Florida. In fact, that tropical storm force wind field surrounding Milton could be upwards of 275 miles. So all across nearly the entire state of Florida will feel those tropical storm force winds. And here's a last look at that rain that Cam was mentioning all across the northern half of our area here, stretching from Winter Haven through Orlando, pretty much as north of I-4 is where we have the heaviest rain continuing to pile up. But it was towards the south that we saw the rain earlier, upwards of 5.5 inches in parts of Brevard County, 6 inches just east of Kissimmee, 6.2 to be exact. As we take a look further north into DeLand, nearly 5 inches of rain, 5.5 across areas like Titusville, and we certainly got a lot more rain to get through. That'll be one of the major impacts that we're tracking overnight and then through Thursday morning, but we still could possibly have a tornado risk as we still are under the influence of Milton. We could possibly see a couple more spin-ups over the course of the evening. So it's rain, the storm surge, the wind, we have it all, and then we add on the chance for additional coastal flooding tomorrow as Milton exits into the Atlantic.
All right, Marquise, thank you so much. And we've been telling you throughout the day, throughout the week, that we have sent our crews to all corners of Central Florida and beyond just to make sure that you guys are well informed about what's happening ahead of the storm. And now that we're in the storm, what is happening now to make sure that you are safe at your home? And it is really an all hands on deck situation. I mean, we have emergency officials in every single county working around the clock to make sure that you're prepared and that you're safe at home.
Oh, yeah, from the state level with Emergency Management Director Kevin Guthrie and the governor all the way down to the counties, to the cities and whatnot. Right now, let's get you out to WESH 2's Luana Munoz, who's in Osceola County near the EOC there. Luana, take it away.
You know, you guys just said it best. It is literally all hands on deck here at the EOC in Osceola County. Everyone is inside of this building behind me, working very hard and diligently, making sure that all of the first responders are communicating with one another. There's also a hotline here where people can call in, residents can call in and get information. So they're sharing that information and everyone is sort of huddled together. We saw them coming in earlier today. They've got their sleeping bags, they're staying overnight. So this is definitely an all hands on deck situation. Speaking of the conditions out here, you can see there's just a few sprinkles out in the air, really calm, no winds right now, but that wasn't the case a little bit earlier today as we saw with those tornadoes, watches and warnings, which have remained in effect overnight. And there were 2 tornadoes that did touch down. They believe here at the EOC that may have impacted the electricity here. We saw a couple times that it went to black, and then we heard the generators kicking in tonight. So they're not exactly sure what's going on. It could be that we're kind of in a tighter area right here, so we're not seeing all of the winds, or this could just simply be the calm right before the storm. This is about that time when the EOC Management Director Bill Linton told me that we're going to start starting to feel those winds from Milton. So they really want people to hunker down, stay in place, get in a good location. If you have to go to a shelter, definitely now is the time to do it. Take a listen.
don't hesitate. Get into your nearest center place of your home. Take some bedding or mattress that protects you if you do get some damage to your home. But really do heed that. And I'm asking that our residents really take that to heart tonight, especially as we're going into the evening hours.
Another tip of advice, close all the doors inside of your home. That'll minimize the wind or the damage that can go through your home. And as you heard from Bill Litton saying, get to the center area or a bathroom as well. They typically say the bathroom because that area is protected. It's got a lot of tile around it. So those are areas where you can stay safe. There are 8 shelters here in Osceola County that are open. 3 of them are already at max capacity. They're really hoping for people to hunker down and stay in place. But if you have to find a safe haven, the shelters are open. We are starting to feel those winds starting to pick up this evening. There is a curfew that is now in place. It started at 8 p.m. and it's going to go until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So they say even at 10 a.m., you need to gauge it. You need to follow what's going on. Heed the warnings and the advice. Step outside. Make sure that it's okay to get in your vehicle and drive because you don't know what you're going to see out there on the roadways. There could be damage. There could be flooding. So a lot of factors are going to go into play. This is certainly nothing that you want to play around with or that you think, oh, everything is fine and safe. So for now, we are reporting live in Osceola County, getting those updates from those emergency management officials, and we're starting to feel those rain or the winds starting to pick up out here. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Luana, get someplace safe. And she did mention that there is a helpline and that there's a place you can text for alerts. So if you want alerts in Osceola County, you can text Alert Osceola to 888-777. There's also a helpline that they have for you, 407-742-0000. So if you need anything, and it's important to have the alerts come straight to your phone because anything can happen during storms, especially tornadoes.
Absolutely. We all have our phones on us. We've got them right here. Easy to get texts and updates. We've all seen kind of the emergency things that either jar you out of your sleep or catch your attention. So very important there. During the forecast just a few minutes ago when Marquise and Cam were on, they were talking about that wind possible, not confirmed, but tornado in Brevard County. We've actually got WESH 2's Tony Atkins live in Brevard County out there. Tony, we see some stuff behind you. Give us a look at what's going on there.
Yeah, we're seeing significant storm damage here. Again, they have to confirm whether or not it was actually a tornado, but just really strong winds. I talked to one woman. She said it felt like a mountain was crashing down, and she went to get shelter. I just want to show you some of the damage here. Look at this column. This is a Wells Fargo bank, and you could just really a testament to how strong the winds is. You can see this piece of wood and how it's just snapped in half by the strong winds. Take a look at the bank itself. More columns on the ground there, but also the roof. The roof is gone. And we were on the back side of the building. There's tons of debris on that side. There's also damage to the building behind it, which is a more, solid cement and brick building. But yeah, this really caused some significant issues in this area. And the only reason why you can see this is because of our weather lab. That's the only light here in the area. I want to come around here. So crews here, they have been working to take care of the power lines, those active, dangerous power lines. There are tons of power lines that were down, but once it was safe, police allowed the public to continue driving through, and they've been working on that. If you look there at the street light, you can see some of the debris there, and that is actually coming from what it appears to be coming from this carport, which is right across the street. You can see some of the awning, that aluminum just on the ground, and we are also seeing some flashes. It appears to be lightning off in the distance, off over the ocean, but yeah, just significant damage here along US 1, this Wells Fargo bank. Not the only place damaged here. Right across the street, there was a Supercuts, and just total destruction over there as well, because one of the rooms, the break room or their kitchen area, when I say that the window was completely destroyed, it's not a news cliche. It was actually totally obliterated by these strong winds. We also talked to some other people in the dark neighborhood back there. They are also dealing with damage to their fences and homes. We saw debris out there, but it's so dark because it's the power is out. It does appear actually that truck, that line crew that we saw, may have gotten some lights on back there. So we might be able to go back there and get a better visual of some of the damage back there. But again, just really significant damage here. One other thing I'll show you before I wrap up, that super cuts right over there. But look at this. You can see I'm just going to hustle over here. I just want to see, look at this, just wrapped around this pole right here. Just this is aluminum from, it appears that is from right across the street. It blew over here and wrapped around this entire pole. So that's just a testament to how strong these winds is. Now, again, we were heading over the causeway we were heading toward Cocoa Beach. This was our destination. We were on the causeway over the bridge when we got the alert about this tornado warning. We immediately went to get shelter. Shortly after, once things calmed down, we started hearing about this over the scanner. But just to come out and see it, some people were here, they heard it. But really to actually see it and to know this is somewhere we could have been is just a testament to how dangerous this storm is, and you don't want to be out in this at all. And another thing to note, Stuart pointed this out earlier, we're on the east coast of Florida, and Milton has yet to actually make official landfall over on the Gulf Coast. So if we're feeling this now, you know, it's going to be a really long night as Milton continues to press on up into Florida and across the state. For now, reporting live in Brevard County, Tony Atkins, WESH 2 News.
Tony, I just want you to hang around for just another second if I could ask you a question. Do we still have Tony up here? I just was wondering. So, Tony, we've seen the destruction. We've seen the aftermath of that tornado warning. We haven't confirmed that it was, in fact, a tornado yet. But can you just walk us through what the weather conditions were like? Was it rainy? Just walk us through what you witnessed, because I know you've been out there all afternoon.
Yeah, it truly has been like a light switch. We've been not struggling, but we've been waiting to go on air for hours, but we couldn't because, you know, we have to get on wall-to-wall coverage, and really our meteorologists have to give those updates, and you kind of pointed that out earlier today. But while they were on air giving the updates about the activity and the, you know, those spots that they were seeing, we were here in Brevard County, over in Merritt Island and where we saw flooding and all of that. But the thing was, as that was, you know, happening, it was like a light switch. It would go away for a second. We think we're about to go live at 5:30, and then another warning would hit. Then the winds would hit. Then we have to get shelter. Then we think it's safe. Then we come back out, and then we get another warning. Then it was rinse and repeat. But again, those are the precautions that you need to take in situations like this, because you just can't risk being here. So you got to do what you got to do to be safe. And now that it is safe, we are able to come out, but it's going to be a long night. This is just the first. It appeared to be the first significant weather that they had tonight, and it feels like the end of the day. I was talking to a woman. I was like, it feels like the end of a day, a news event. Or not a news event, a weather event, I should say. But this is actually really just the beginning, because the hurricane is still coming our way. But yeah, the weather, it's been on and off, rain. The wind now has become more constant, though, I would say that.
All right, Tony, thank you very much. I mean, and no guarantee that it will continue to be safe. As he just mentioned, Milton hasn't made official landfall. One thing we do want to note in that video there, you saw the power crews there. We also saw the flashing lights from police, presumably kind of setting the perimeter around for people to fix that. That is able to happen here. But for example, Charlotte County, Southwest Florida, they've already said emergency responses will not be happening right now. If you call in an emergency, we cannot come to you because the conditions have deteriorated down there.
And that's because they need to take their safety into consideration, and that's why we tell you before every storm to make your plan and get out ahead of the incoming weather. And we do want to take our coverage over to the west side of Florida, because that's where things are really starting to pick up. We have WESH 2's Justin Checker. Justin, you have by far, without a doubt, seen the worst of the weather of our crews so far. Walk us through what's happening where you are in the Tampa area.
Good evening. At this hour, the rain from Hurricane Milton is relentless. The extreme wind warning remains in effect here in the Tampa area. We moved away from Bayshore Boulevard by the water around 6 o'clock, and the last 2 hours or so, the conditions have really deteriorated. The wind just keeps whipping the rain right in my face here. This is Hillsborough Avenue. It's a main east-west road north of downtown Tampa. We've seen very few cars on the road, as one might be passing by right now. But it appears many people here in Hillsborough County, the Tampa Bay area, they have hunkered down. These are definitely the strongest wind gusts I have felt here tonight. As we know, this major hurricane is moving closer to making landfall south of Tampa.
We seem to have lost Justin Schott, and that's for obvious reasons. Yeah. The conditions are just deteriorating so quickly over there. So we're bringing in our weather team. We're giving them a second to walk over to the desk right now. Things are just happening so fast now because the storm is so much closer to shore. Cam, how far away is this storm? When are we expecting landfalls? It's still after 9?
Yeah, we're expecting it within the next hour. Okay. In fact, the 8 o'clock update said the center circulation is about 20 miles offshore Sarasota. So based on the forward motion at 15 miles per hour, again, this was at 8 o'clock, we're expecting landfall, I would say, between 9 and 9:15, Tony. Yep. I would. So we're about an hour away.
And we have a high wind warning there.
Yes.
Meaning the winds are,
clearly,
I've got the velocity product up. We're right around 95, 105. So that's what's coming ashore. There's going to be significant power outages there, and we'll continue to update that there for you. All right, let's show you the high wind warning one more time here. Again, this is in effect for about another an hour and 15 minutes. A couple cams for you here downtown right now. It is starting to come down. I was just looking around at Daytona Beach. That also beginning to really pick up the wind. So we'll pepper in some of these. We'll go to some of our live shots. We'll kind of keep this moving for everybody here as we get deeper into the evening. There's the extreme wind warning now. Very, very dangerous situation. The eye is coming in just to the south of the Tampa Bay area, and we've got that eye wall coming ashore there near Ruskin, and it's going to continue to move off towards the east-northeast. This is the 8 o'clock intermediate advisory now, and you can see it's still with winds on the south and the northwest side of 120 miles an hour. It is keeping that same speed, so at 15 miles an hour, it's going to take a good 12 hours for this to get towards at least the eastern side of the peninsula, if not offshore. Again, continuing to move very quickly now. It looks like it's going to be very close to Sarasota, coming ashore, and then coming up into Polk County, and then from there back towards Cocoa Beach. It's just north now of the center of the circulation where a lot of very heavy rain is going to fall overnight tonight and through the first half of the day tomorrow. They're your latest tracks. Again, they've all been kind of jumping up, and that's why we're getting that very heavy rain here across central Florida. Again, we take a look at Milton. Plenty now of hurricane warnings still remain in effect here across all of central Florida. So we're going to continue to watch that. The high winds for all of central Florida, but the strongest winds are going to be right in there. Now, you take a look at that buoy data. Everything is lifting up towards the north and the east. Look at the buoy data here. 20 to 25 foot waves. That's why the wave action is really increasing down to the south. That tornado watch is going to be lifted off towards the south. But right in here is where we are picking up 95 to 105 mile an hour winds right now, and all of this energy is going to lift towards the north and east. And as the eye comes ashore, a lot of times what we see is that very heavy rain on the northern side of that center of circulation. That's why we're really concerned for the potential, on top of the 7 to 8 inches of rain we've received, an additional 4 to 8 inches of rain, putting us in the 8 to 16 inch range by the time it's all said and done. The surge is going to be another big problem. The wind, I don't think we're going to have 80 here, but I do think we'll be 60 to 70 in most locales. Polk, Osceola, and Brevard, you may get to 80, but the wind is going to die down by tomorrow afternoon. So the tornado risk is beginning to wind down. Most of the energy is beginning to pull offshore. For me, it's more of a flooding concern. We're going to take a look at the surge. We're going to take a look at some of the latest rainfall reports. I'm kind of putting some of those together, but let's check in with Cam for more on Milton.
That's right. Let's take a look at some of the damage reports or storm reports we've seen so far already, and it just basically encompasses our entire map here. Most of this is flooding, but several also reports of either thunderclouds or even tornadoes. In fact, here is a closer look at where we may have had a tornado touch down in Cocoa Beach. There were reports of a roof being ripped off at the Wells Fargo Bank near A1A and Banana River Boulevard, where Tony Atkins was live. He actually showed you that damage there. So hasn't been confirmed yet, but a tornado was likely there. And here's a look at the rainfall we've seen so far across our area, and taking a look at the winds. They are sustained right now about 30 to 40 miles per hour, and we've seen gusts well over stronger than that as we've gone throughout the evening. We're going to continue to see some of these strong wind gusts as we go throughout the night. So we are not through with the worst of it in terms of the winds. In fact, look at some of the recent wind gusts. Gusts around 55 miles per hour in Leesburg, 43 in Claremont, 45 in Kissimmee, and winds will continue to get stronger and stronger as we go through the night. We're looking at additional ½ foot of rain easily for many folks here before this is all said and done. So taking a look at futurecast winds, the brunt of the winds, or the worst of it, still expected as we go into late tonight. We are expecting winds of about 65 to 77 miles per hour around midnight to 2 a.m. By 8 o'clock in the morning, we're expecting winds are around 40 to 50 miles per hour. And then as we go into about midday tomorrow, those wind speeds will gradually die off. We'll see breezy conditions still, but not as gusty as what we're expecting late tonight into tomorrow morning. And then as we go through tomorrow evening, still some breezy winds, especially for our coastal communities. And that's because as Milton moves into the Atlantic side, on the back side of that system, we'll still see some gusty winds for our coastal communities because, again, on the backside of Milton, we'll still see some rain and some gusty conditions. So unfortunately, we're still going to see several more hours where we are expecting some rough weather here across our area. Coming up next time when I see you, we will see county by county graphics for you.
Okay, we're getting some breaking news right now that in West Palm Beach, we have just confirmed that there were multiple fatalities. Jason, can you tell me one more time? Do we have in St. Lucie County? Those are the officials who are confirming it. Do we have a number? I'm trying to. Okay, we don't have a number on that, but we have heard multiple fatalities again. That's in St. Lucie County. We're going to work to get some more information on that, but that was literally just coming in from our producer. He was telling me as we popped up back on camera. And this is why it's so important to stay on top of this ever-changing storm and just to make sure that you're aware of what is coming your way. We've already seen, Jesse, tornado warnings throughout the day, flood warnings. I mean, this storm, and like Tony Atkins said, this is just the beginning. Like, we are in for hours of this, so we just want you to stay safe, stay prepared, and stay in your home is probably the most important thing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And those changes, those kind of flash changes of the moment, that's the reason why emergency officials are in their EOCs, in the big centers, keeping an eye on all of this. Speaking of the Orange County Emergency Management, they're working around the clock monitoring the impacts around here.
Yeah, so we want to get out to WESH 2's Michelle Meredith, who is at the EOC in Orange County.
Well, we're here at the Orange County Emergency Operations Center. As you can see, they got this place fortified with this mesh, so water and wind has a harder time getting here. Now, it's very locked up here, of course. This is the lobby, and we're going to move into the inner sanctum here. Thank you so much, sir. This is the Emergency Operations Center. This is where all the action is. Now let's peek in. We are proud to say that inside there, they are watching WESH 2 News. All right, Gary, let's go down the hallway. This is where the media room is. We're headed towards it. There's a lot of offices where people are monitoring, checking things out. Now, the mayor had a news conference early today. Let's show you what he had to say.
I don't have to tell our community. We're already beginning to feel some of the effects of a major category storm within our community. Certainly at this point, we will be experiencing these conditions for the next several hours, in fact, until approximately 6 p.m. tomorrow. So we have a long way to go.
All right, now we are here at the media room. This is where we hang out and where the mayor has his podium. They're going to bring us some cots here in a few minutes. So if this is where you want to sleep, if you want to sleep here overnight, you can. And it's our understanding the mayor will have a news conference sometime on Thursday. In Orange County, Michelle Meredith, WESH 2 News.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much. We're going to continue to show you some damage from around the area. You have to see this video. Did you see it right there? A tree just fell in the middle of the road. An officer was driving behind. This was in his car. This was into land. And his camera caught the moment that a tree crashed on top of the car that was in front of him. So this was on Clara Avenue this afternoon because it's daylight. You could see this was earlier today. Thank goodness that driver in the car was okay. But again, Jesse, this is why we tell people driving on the roads isn't safe because our ground is so saturated from all the rainfall that we've gotten the last couple of weeks. And the trees, they're week, and they can tumble right on top of your car. Thank goodness that person was okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And from to land a bit south to Stewart, where 2 tornadoes happened there. They went through a neighborhood. Take a look at that. They destroyed 2 houses. You can see video there. You could hear a scanner, a radio, people running, the trees just kind of whipping back and forth. And there it is right there. Definitely a sight to behold there. A couple of homes destroyed. You can see some of the damage right there. Again, that's in Stewart.
We also have some drone footage. Look at this. This shows a steady stream of people evacuating along I-75 in Collier County. So this is in the Naples area. Mandatory evacuation orders are in place for areas along the Gulf Coast. And Jesse, you'll remember, because I know you talked about this before, the Naples Pier. Remember the water just crashing into it? They are expecting significant impacts from Hurricane Milton. So it's no doubt that these people are trying to get out of Dodge.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Meantime, a strong video of a tornado spotted near Clewiston. That's near Lake Okeechobee area. Look at that right there. It's just kind of barreling past. You can see the swirling in that right there. Wow.
Wow.
Take a look. Yeah, that's again, Clewiston near Lake Okeechobee.
Also, some video from inside of Milton I think we have for you. So this is from a NOAA drone. It's about 40 nautical miles from the storm's center. Reported wave heights here of more than 28 feet. Just look at how those waters are so choppy. Wind gusts of up to 76 miles per hour. And that's not even the worst of the wind gusts that we're going to be getting in the state of Florida and here in central Florida.
Yeah. All right. Some notes for you guys, especially out of Osceola County. A curfew in effect tonight at 8 o'clock. So it's been in effect for about 28 minutes now. This includes the cities of Kissimmee and St. Cloud. The curfew does not apply to first responders, healthcare workers, and other essential employees. If you're traveling to or from work, have your ID and your work phone number handy, because if they spot you, they might stop you and ask you for it. That curfew in, again, Osceola County will be in place until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
We also have a curfew in Volusia County, so they've issued one tonight to discourage anybody from traveling during the peak of the storm. So no one should be on the road from 8 tonight until 8 tomorrow morning. Only essential personnel, just like Jesse just said, and people going to work should be out on the roads. You can face a $500 fine or even jail time if you're caught on the roads without a passport, or not without a passport, without a purpose. They mean business there. They really don't want you to be out for no reason.
Oh, yeah. Sheriff Chitwood actually during a press conference brought that up earlier in the week and said that they were going to be very serious about that curfew there in Volusia County. All right, in Flagler County, people in Bunnell are being asked to limit the use of water right now. A city crew is checking out the lift station on North Anderson Street. The city says their water system is being pushed to the limit right now because of all the rain and the water going down from the drains and from businesses and houses on Bunnell's sewer system. So again, all people in Bunnell asked to limit their water use for the time being.
And check out these pictures that we got. So these were sent to us from a viewer in Palm Coast. So Christina sent us these pictures around 6 o'clock tonight. You could see a lot of standing water in front of a home there and what looks like a mailbox like on an island. And you'll remember we've told you that the east coast of our state is going to be dealing with some flooding and storm surge. We have another picture here, and it's going to show a neighborhood road that is underwater. And just a reminder, we can't stress this enough. Now is not the time to get on the road and drive anywhere. I think we have one more picture for you here. It shows water starting to push off of the road in this neighborhood and into the front yard. So it's like up over the curb there. We still have several hours of heavy rains ahead of us. I know that we've already gotten inches and inches. And like we keep saying, I mean, this is just on top of all the rain we've been dealing with for the last couple of weeks. So just, you know, if you see that starting to happen outside your home and there's no reason for you to go out there, just stay inside.
Yeah, we just talked about Bunnell asking people to limit their use of water. Castleberry is now asking people to conserve water. So again, Castleberry now, do your laundry and run your dishwasher today, tomorrow through Friday. Only use water for drinking, cooking, and personal hygiene. So tomorrow through Friday, only use water for those necessities. They say that helps prevent the sewers from overflowing there and keep everything running smoothly.
Okay, and obviously we are staying...
You're watching continuing coverage of Milton from WESH 2.
We are staying on top of Hurricane Milton, and we are tracking the storm's every move. We are less than an hour away from landfall on the west coast of Florida. Now, we are still saying that this is going to make landfall as a Category 3, a strong Category 3. So, we are just anticipating lots of impacts, not only on the west coast, but also throughout Central Florida and our east coast as well.
Absolutely. And for that reason, we have an entire team spread out throughout really the entirety of Central Florida. You saw Justin Shecker in Tampa, and our crews all the way to Brevard, Tony Atkinson, Brevard County. So really throughout the entire area. And of course, we've got our team of meteorologists working hard behind the scenes and on air as you see them. Let's go ahead and get to First Warning Chief Meteorologist Tony Manalfi now with the very latest now, Tony, at 8:32 this evening.
All right, Jess, thanks so much for that toss. You can see outside right now up towards Marion County, the winds are picking up. It's been coming down pretty good, 3 to 4 inches of additional rain today since the start of Milton, and the center of circulation, as you guys just mentioned, is about to make landfall. It's going to take a look now at some of the other maps here for you right now. I want to kind of highlight what's going on. Again, we have this high extreme wind warning now as the eye wall is should be making landfall here within the next 30 minutes. The eastern side of the eye wall is overland. We're picking a lot of strong gusty winds, and we're also noticing now that with the wind and the rain here, how our power outages continue to increase. 14,000 people without power now in Polk County, 12,000 without power in Marion County. Orange County, you're not too far behind, 8,500 people there. East-northeast now at 15. This is going to continue to accelerate while moving across the peninsula overnight tonight. And it's right here on the northern side of the track where we are going to see significant rainfall. Many folks today already with 7 inches of rain. I've got a map that I'm working on for you right now. I'll have that in my next weather hit. Center of circulation just about ready to come ashore near Sarasota. You can see the heavy rain on the northwest side. This is going to continue to push off towards the east-northeast. The strongest winds will be right through here. Winter Haven, Kissimmee, back towards Titusville. In that corridor, I believe we'll see winds that will be running 75, 85 miles an hour. The farther north you go, the winds will be a little bit lighter, but the rain will be significantly more heavy. There's Tampa Bay. Center of circulation is just about on shore. Give it the next couple minutes, we'll get that. Most of the severe rotating storms have now moved offshore as Milton is moving on in. And look at these winds, 85, 95. That little core right there was pinging 100 just a little while ago. A sign that this storm is indeed beginning to weaken as it's interacting with land. Wind gust here, 75, 85 there in the other Tampa Bay. Here in town, we're in the 35, 45 up north. Here in the metro areas, 45, 55. Had one in Leesburg just a short time ago of about 58 miles an hour. Heavy rain, flood warning through here, another flood warning here, and a third flood warning up to the north. More on those rainfall totals and the high water concerns when I see you guys coming up in just a couple minutes. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Tony. We do want to talk about mandatory evacuation orders in Volusia County. And, we're focusing a lot on Volusia County because they are seeing a lot of impacts. And so we've sent our crews over there just to see what's happening and monitoring the situation.
Absolutely. Well, and of course, a big part of Volusia County also on the coast, which is in danger of that storm surge once the storm rolls back around. Let's get to WESH 2's Haley Crumblehome live in Daytona Beach. Haley, how are people taking those evacuation orders there?
I will say it's pretty quiet downtown, but just in the last hour or so, I did see a man riding by on a bicycle in some pretty strong wind. So not everybody has cleared out, but we are starting to see the wind. We're seeing the rain. You can see behind me in this parking lot here, it's already started to flood a little bit. We've gone under a parking garage to get out of some of the worst of that wind. But if we pan up, I don't know if we can go to that palm tree there. It's blowing pretty heavy, and we're definitely having some gusts that are particularly strong at certain points. And just within the last couple of hours, I think we can take some video there. We did see businesses down here just trying to make their final preparations, putting down a few more sandbags before clearing out. Now, like you said, there were evacuations for parts of Volusia County. Those went into effect at 8 o'clock this morning. And as of this afternoon, the county said around 800 people had checked into some of their shelters. Now, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office shared some photos tonight of a briefing with their high water rescue teams ahead of this possible threat of flooding. But even they said with some of these conditions, if people are out, those teams may not be able to reach people right away
They really want people to just bunker down. There is at this point a curfew in effect. It went into effect at 8 p.m. So people really should not be outside at this point. For now, live in Volusia County, Haley Crumblehome, WESH 2 News.
Thank you, Haley. All right, Tony, 8:37 this evening, and we just learned it made landfall.
Just literally came down as I was over there. I had to run back here because Cam was telling me, hey, we got landfall. So let me show you the latest graphic here, give you the particulars on that right there. About 8:30, it's a Category 3, and the winds were at 120 miles an hour. The pressure at the time of landfall there at about 954 millibars. Again, very close to Sarasota. We were making that call on the radar. We were saying very close to Sarasota. In fact, that's as close as you can get.
And Tony, just a quick question. Landfall means the center of the eye of the storm has now reached over land, correct?
That is correct. The center point of the eye is over land.
Okay.
That's the key there.
All right. Yep. Thank you so much for that update. We really do appreciate it. And Tony, you know, obviously people living along the East Coast, they were evacuating just to get away from this storm.
Yeah, no, precisely. Many of them taking up shelter in an area in Osceola County. That's where WESH 2's Gail Pascal Brown is. She's been spending the evening there. Gail?
Absolutely. And you know something, just a moment ago, we had sideways blowing wind as far as is concerned, and the trees were going crazy. It's calmed down a little bit, but that's always an indicator for me in the many years that I have covered storms as those trees when they start dancing. But as far as the people are concerned, and I'm hoping that at the sound of my voice that you are in a very safe place right now. Some folks have found refuge here at the Quality Inn and Suites right off of Earl Bronson Highway here in Kissimmee. These families literally had to pick up what they had and just leave. Some of them had to be evacuated. Some are from the West Coast, some are from the East Coast. Here's some of the families I spoke with. Families near and far fleeing Hurricane Milton sought refuge at the Quality Inn and Suites on Earl Bronson Highway in Kissimmee. The hotel is fully sold out for the next few days.
Since Sunday morning, it's been on Madhouse here for reservations, guests coming and going, bringing their fur guests, everything. Like, we even have my employees staying here for the safety to make sure we can cook breakfast and still service rooms every day.
Among the evacuees, Celia Hernandez from Port Richey, Florida, who says they're still reeling from Hurricane Helene and all the debris that's left behind.
That's like a life or death situation at this point in Pasco County. Plus, we have not even recovered. People lost their homes, family members. I have family members that lost their homes, floods. The water covered them or whatever. So I feel like it was either leave or there was no telling what would have happened at this point.
Carrie Ryan and her dogs were evacuated from Rotunda West on the West Coast between Fort Myers and Tampa.
We had no other choice. We tried to find a hotel, and this was the first one that came up that was vacant. And then we headed out early in the morning, so not a lot of traffic. We arrived yesterday, and we're glad we left because now they just evacuated Zone C, and we're in Zone B.
And again, here's another reminder to please stay off the road. You heard the governor say it. We've been saying it all night. Our meteorologists have been emphasizing it. There is a curfew in Osceola County. It started at 8 o'clock tonight. It's going to go until 10 o'clock in the morning. And that is to try to discourage the driving on the road. Please let law enforcement, let first responders do their jobs, and let's stay out of their way. I'm Gail Pascal Brown reporting live in Osceola County for WESH 2 News.
All right, Gail, thank you. We do want to show you this. Take a look. This is NOAA's satellite imagery showing the lightning over Florida as Hurricane Milton was pushing closer to our shoreline. Obviously, we just told you a few minutes ago that the storm has now made landfall, but check out the way it's lighting up. We actually saw, Jesse, one of those lightning strikes right here at WESH. We took a pretty big hit. I mean, everything outside lit up. The building kind of felt like it shook there a little bit. This is a powerful, powerful storm.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. So if you take a close look, you could see the outline of Florida in white, and then you could see the lightning kind of on that upper right edge, just kind of pushing inland, almost like a laser burning off rust on a piece of metal or something. You just take a look at it right there. It just goes through the entire state. Wow. Meantime, we also want to show you some more video from inside Milton from a NOAA drone. That's what you're looking at right there. So a drone this happened about 40 nautical miles from the storm center. The reported wave height there was of more than 28 feet. So imagine that, 28 feet high waves. Wind gusts at that moment from that drone were coming in at 76 miles an hour. Meantime, shelters back on land across Seminole County opened earlier today as people got ready for Milton.
Yeah, so we want to send things out now to WESH 2's Greg Fox, who is live at a shelter at Bentley Elementary School. And Greg, have people just been moving in there all day?
They have been. They've got about 100 people in here at this point. Bentley Elementary, of course, is one of the singular shelters of the 8 in Seminole County that handles both pet-friendly and medical needs. As we give you a shot of the check-in area, because the wind has picked up so much here in the last little while, they've brought in some of the tables and the chairs, and there inside the lobby you can see people who handle the check-in, some of the nursing staff here. They screen IDs before letting anyone in and making sure no weapons, drugs, or alcohol are being brought in. Earlier we were at Lyman High School, which is also a pet-friendly shelter. This woman was bussed over from her home with her cats and helped in through a driving rainstorm. The county issued an evacuation order for those with special needs in flood-prone areas and in mobile home communities today. People are responding with more than 700 people checked into shelters as of late afternoon. They can keep right on coming through the night, bring snacks, bring your medications, and something comfortable for sleeping. Staff and volunteers will be doing their best to accommodate everyone who comes in.
So have some patience, show some compassion, and ultimately, in a couple days, we'll find our place on the other side.
And that recovery is going to be probably pretty long term, with some very high floods expecting, a lot of water, a lot of rain, and some pretty severe winds. And as everybody's probably seen, tornadoes.
Duke Energy provides about half of the power in Seminole County. Across the state, it has 16,000 crews staged in the villages and in Davenport ready to roll to areas that lose power to restore it. They're predicting from Pinellas County through east central Florida, 1 million residential and business customers losing power from Milton. And as we give you a live look now at the exceptional amount of wind that is just outside Bentley Elementary School. You can see it tossing the trees around there. Florida Power and Light's got about 17,000 crews on standby ready to restore power. And in our Central Florida region, of course, that's mostly along the coastal areas, Flagler, Volusia, and Brevard counties. Live in Sanford, Greg Fox, WESH News.
You were just talking about all the wind out there, but can you talk to us just a little bit about any rainfall? Have you seen any rain where you are?
We don't have a big bunch of rain right now. Here we're showing you some of the people going in the shelter at this time. Actually, it looks like possibly somebody headed to their car. They might have forgotten some items and they're going out there to get them. Some medications they've asked to bring them in there too. However, again, we've had some rain. We don't have a lot of rain going on at this particular time.
Greg, sorry. Stay safe out there. We do want to tell you there are some other shelters that are open in Sumter County. The fairgrounds is full. People in that area are advised to go to Webster Elementary School instead. There are other shelters that we have available for you on our website. And just be aware, and we tell you this all the time, shelters do not provide any cots, blankets, or other supplies. So if you're showing up to a shelter, come prepared with everything that you need, like you heard Greg just saying there, medication, anything that you need throughout the night.
Yeah. And real quick, we want to give you an update on that breaking news we brought to you a little bit ago out of St. Lucie. So we've got some confirmed information on that. This is near the Fort Pierce area. Multiple deaths from the weather there from a tornado. Spanish Lakes Country Club area there. So we've confirmed again multiple deaths out of St. Lucie County. That's coming from St. Lucie County officials from out of Spanish Lakes Country Club in the Fort Pierce area there. So Tony, we're starting to see, Michelle, we're starting to see those effects and sadly deaths on the eastern side as well.
And I know that officials over there were saying that they got reports of those deaths after all the tornado warnings that were in that area. And I have to tell you, I Googled that community. It is a retirement community, 55 and older. So, I mean, that's a limited amount of information we have. But Tony, this isn't unexpected because those tornadoes, I mean, were powerful.
We've had 98 tornado warnings today.
in our area?
In all of between the Weather Service offices in Tampa,
Okay.
Melbourne, and down south.
Okay.
9 of them have had confirmed tornadoes.
Okay.
That tornado occurred after dark, so it may have taken a little bit longer to figure out what was going on there. The landfall just happened. That's another big story here, guys. Again, 5 miles west-southwest there of Sarasota, or basically Siesta Key, guys, and came in as a Category 3, winds are at about 120 miles an hour, and the pressure does continue to go up. So now that the storm is over land, it is going to begin to wind down, but it is still going to create an environment with a lot of wind, and that wind is starting to pick up here in Ocala. We've been peppering in other cams, going out to our crews out in the field. This extreme wind warning will remain in effect because the backside of the eye will be coming through this area, and so we need to make sure the winds are safe before we drop that. The power outages continue to increase here across our viewing area. They are much higher as you get towards Sarasota and the Tampa area. We'll watch these numbers continue to grow as Milton continues to move off now towards the east-northeast or the northeast at about 15 miles an hour. Earlier it was northeast, now it's east-northeast, so that's a sign that that upper-level ridge and that trough of low pressure are going to now begin to accelerate this storm system a little bit more quickly across the peninsula late tonight and should be offshore by early afternoon tomorrow. The bigger concern now, we've transitioned from severe, now we're into a flooding threat here. It's already ongoing. We've had a lot of rain, but as the low fills in, that allows for more rain to actually develop on the north side of that core because you're getting that funneling effect with the high to the north, the Atlantic moisture coming on in. So there's going to be some more significant rainfall on all the very heavy rain we've had. There's your center of circulation now onshore. Those rotating thunderstorms well off to the east. You can see the winds now in that 50 to 85 mile an hour range up and down 75. You can see the Tampa Bay 77 mile an hour winds there. Look at Orlando Executive right here in Orlando, 55 to 60. The winds are really starting to increase, and they're going to get even higher as Milton continues to move off towards the east. Flood warnings, multiple flood warnings from Tampa to Sanford to DeLand. Almost 90% of our viewing area right now is under some sort of flash flood warning or flood advisory. Significant rain continues to come on down, and the advisories do remain in effect right through tomorrow morning. So far, no flash flood emergencies, but that is one thing that I'm going to be watching for now overnight tonight. Peak wind gust in Leesburg, 58. Just had that new reported executive right around 60. The other thing we have to keep in mind now on the backside of this storm, the storm surge. We're starting to see that pick up here in Fort Myers, 3.5 feet. So far, so good up in the Tampa Bay area, but we'll have to check those sensors. For me, though, the thing that I think we need to watch, the high tide times now for Flagler Beach, 6:45 in the morning, and then over towards Cocoa, just after the 1 o'clock hour, we can have some significant coastal flood erosion and beach erosion at that time as that storm continues to draw closer, and then the second high tide cycle during the afternoon. So tomorrow, we're still in it for at least the first half of the day. Weather conditions will gradually improve thereafter, and it's going to be a good-looking weekend. High temperatures around 85. Overnight low temperatures finally feeling like fall. Monday is Columbus Day. Some of us have 3-day weekend. Temperature then 85 with morning temperatures, guys, in the 60s.
All right, Tony, thank you. Texans on a Mission is helping provide disaster relief across Florida. 5 trucks with volunteers left Dallas this morning to travel here to help after Milton makes landfall, which just happened moments ago. The group plans to drive straight through the night and head to where Milton impacts the most. The volunteer organization has provided more than 4,000 meals since Helene hit less than 2 weeks ago.
This is just more people going out to where we've already been. We had people in St. Pete, Tampa working in flood recovery from Helene, and we just moved them to Valdosta, Georgia to be out of harm's way, and they're going to move back in with this group later on this week.
Volunteers are taking 2 large generators, 2 kitchen units, plus different equipment to help with the cleanup. The organization also has currently crews spread out across the Carolinas and Tennessee. And Jesse, that's one of the nice things about having this kind of support around us. People just come to Florida to help us in times of need, just as we go to their areas when they need it.
Absolutely. Neighbor helping neighbor on a statewide level. Meantime, here's another one. World Central Kitchen. Their relief team is pre-positioning around Florida so that they can can be ready to come down when the time is ready. They're working out how to best assist the impacted areas, and they will be giving us, and we will pass on more updates to you coming soon.
The sheriff of Lee County says some roads right now are just impassable. We knew this is what was going to happen. This is why we tell you to stay off the roads. This is what he posted on X around 5:15 tonight. On one road, he said that the water is knee deep. Other areas have 4 to 6 inches of water on the road. In another post, he says one road is just completely flooded on Pine Island. Water and sand are also moving in, which we have seen in storms past as well. And in one area, there is a foot of water on the road.
Yeah, Pine Island is very much a barrier island in that area, and we showed you Matt Lachey a little bit earlier. Matt Lachey is kind of on the bridge to Pine Island, so makes some sense with all of that there. Definitely some dangerous conditions there. We want to get to Taylor Hernandez in Okeechobee County talking about shelters, people going to the area there, and law enforcement crews ready for the influx of people and obviously to respond to emergencies.
I'm Taylor Hernandez in Okeechobee County, Florida. I'm standing in one of the areas county leaders tell us they're concerned about because it is low lying, and a lot of the homes behind me are mobile homes. Now, just yesterday, the county did issue a voluntary evacuation for people who live in areas just like this one. They also opened up shelters for these folks yesterday, and a lot of folks are evacuating from the West Coast to Okeechobee County or further east. So that shelter will house people from Okeechobee County as well as neighboring counties to the west who are fleeing Hurricane Milton. One woman I spoke with told me this is the first time she's ever evacuated her home to stay in a shelter, and she's a lifelong Floridian.
I'm near the lake, and it's just, just me hanging out, and it's my house is pretty good, but still, if something happens, like a tree falls down or I can't get stuck and I get hurt or something, there's nobody there. My neighbors, most of them already left.
Okeechobee County, of course, under a hurricane warning. County leaders tell me they have staffed up law enforcement, they have staffed up fire and EMS. They've also been in contact with the National Hurricane Center as well as the State Department of Emergency Management as they await the impact of Hurricane Milton. Reporting in Okeechobee County, I'm Taylor Hernandez. Back to you.
All right, Taylor, thank you. Now, of course, we're seeing a lot of impacts, and we're also seeing direct impacts on the sports world as well.
That's right. The Orlando Magic making changes to their schedule. We want to get over to WESH 2 Sports Director Darren Stoltzfus. Darren, what's happening?
Yeah, the Magic aren't going to play their home opener for the preseason Friday night due to concerns from Hurricane Milton. Now, right now, the Magic are on the road in San Antonio for their second preseason contest. They do have an early lead in the second quarter. That game is being played as scheduled, but Orlando opened their preseason slate in New Orleans Monday with a loss to the Pelicans. They were supposed to square off with that same squad Friday night at the Kia Center. Instead, that game has been canceled. It will not be rescheduled. If you did buy single game tickets, you're set for a refund. Other sports news, South Florida has pushed back their football game against Memphis, scheduled now from Friday to Saturday in Tampa. For now, UCF is still scheduled to host Cincinnati Saturday. No changes there. Same story for the Florida Gators at Tennessee. However, the high school football schedule, it's essentially wiped out this week for Central Florida. Schools are closed the rest of the week. We'll see what else arises. Back to you.
You're watching continuing coverage of Milton from WESH 2.
Now at 9, whipping winds and terrifying tornadoes. Hurricane Milton is now bearing down on Florida.
There are moments again where we see the winds really starting to pick up.
Right now, the wind is blowing away from downtown, blowing the water in the bay out further towards the Gulf.
The wind knocking out power to many people in Florida, and first responders are standing by ready to help.
Duke Energy is mobilizing around 16,000 resources.
We've got WESH 2 team coverage tonight, and we're staying on air from the start to finish of this storm.